What's going on, beautiful people? Another day in paradise. You're joined with me, Mulatto Vanguard, here on the Sunday evening. So I have a couple short clips I want to share with you guys. Nothing too long, but definitely newsworthy and worth showing you guys. So shout out to everybody in the chat. DC, appreciate you being here. Thank you for your support. And Mulatto Pixie, appreciate you being here. And then of course, Hybrid Vigor, appreciate you guys showing up. And yeah, let's get this cracking. So let me share the screen here. I got a couple clips, short clips. They're from the Dr. Phil show. Now, mulatto, couple mulattoes, okay, on the panel. One of the gentlemen is a doctor, Dr. J. Luke Wood. I'm going to go a little bit into him in a few minutes. He's here on the panel, but then of course we have Amala as well, who's kind of a more prominent, I guess you could say, social media personality, especially because she's her young age, right? I think she's barely 22 years old, but she kind of got banned off or kicked off of TikTok. Similar situation to just Pearly Things, right? They kind of kicked them off TikTok, and then they kind of were forced to come over to YouTube to build their platform up. In the case of Amala, she's had a lot of push. She has a whole like network and organization behind her to help her with the Prager situation. So she has big money sponsoring her, endorsing her, helping her, right? Kind of push the conservatism, push the message versus just Pearly's entirely different situation. But a lot of SJW foolishness here. Of course, they established some balance having Candace Owens. I think I forgot to mention Candace Owens is here on the panel. Now, she isn't a mulatto woman, but as you can see in the title, or not the title, but the thumbnail, I kind of put a comment cloud there, and Candace Owen has biracial, children, mulatto children. So we're gonna get into this, right? Of course, we are the future, and there's been a lot of riffraff lately, more so within the kind of I'll get into that another time. I think other people are kind of going into that, but let me doing something different over here. But of course, let me get into this. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Here we go. And yeah, let's get it cracking. Fair use.
Well, we're discussing the very.
I guess I should highlight the title of this clip I'm going to share with you before I kind of provide my commentary. Should we reach a race neutral future in education, right? Of course, you guys are pretty familiar and acquainted with Dr. Phil, right? Very popular media personality, talk show host per se here in the States. So I'm going to get right into this.
Very sensitive
Fair
topic
use.
of whether or not white people are discriminated against in education and the workplace. Is this a made up issue in the news, or is there a good reason why some people feel this is real? Now,
And the whole, argument is are white people being discriminated against in education and the workplace? Depending on how you look at it, the argument can be made, yes, specifically white men, because white women are the majority of America. And a lot of white men are ostracized even by their own women. That's why you have the whole red pill space, manosphere spaces, basically because of that, with the counteract feminism. But especially on the universities, because he brought up education and he also brought up the workplace. But of course, you go to the university, you get educated, and then of course you transfer into the workplace, right? Kind of how that system works. But definitely within education, they have this concept. We talked about it, a lot of other times about the BIPOC, the acronym, which is Black, Indigenous, People of Color, or just people of color, which doesn't mean nothing. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. To these type of people, these more left-wing liberal social justice warriors, it essentially means non-white, right? They want to just throw everybody in the same damn group. That's not white male, right? And of course, they'll have white women as a quote ally, right? They use these terms, the powerless people, basically at the academic level. That's when I first started hearing that at the university I attended, this ally concept. I'd hear powerless people on campus crying and complaining about racism, but they talked about the white ally. So that's very interesting. But of course, it's the women, not the men, right? And of course, there's people here, even hybrid vigor is pretty astute, and he can articulate these type of you know, this situation, I think, more obviously more thoroughly than me, but I'm just kind of glossing this stuff over and I think it's newsworthy. So yeah, let me get into this. Yeah.
I want to introduce Amala Ekpunobi, who is a conservative podcast host and a public speaker. Amala, you've been listening to everything that we've been talking about here. I said there may be a third factor here. They don't have the opportunities in some of the schools they're coming from to get prepared, and that has to be addressed, but we can get back to that in a minute. But what do you think about what we're talking about so far?
Right. I'll talk to your example that you gave about the Monopoly game and a white person being able to run the track twice over and a black person starting after that. The solution is not to then pick up the black person and run them around the lap 4 times.
Now, she's a young woman, right? I think 22 years old. I can kind of even hear in her tone of voice, there's a level of like nerves, right? She's kind of anxious, nervous per se on the spotlight. She does a really good job with her platform and her program. Um, I tune in now and then, but yeah, she definitely does a pretty good job, especially a young, impressionable person. But what I wanted to add, why I paused, is because the thing about it is she kind of flip flops sometimes, right? What I like about her and I embrace her is not so much her political stance, conservatism, although I am obviously more conservative leaning, but it's the fact that she embraces, biraciality per se, right? Biracial is more of an innocuous term that's more socially acceptable in society, so people kind of stick with it. When I use the term mulatto, people kind of feel funny about it, which is good. They're going to continue to feel funny because I'm going to keep telling them. But it's funny. I mean, I was talking to a Kenyan lady earlier today, and we're both on track. Basically, she understands the kind of nomenclature, and when I use mulatto, I'm extremely specific, right? Because of course, mulatto ties us to the history, anthropologically speaking, around the planet, whether in Africa, Europe, America, North, South America. Mulatto is the term, the identity marker, which should describe us, those of us who are black, white, mixed race people, which she is. I believe she has a Nigerian father and a white American mother, if I'm not mistaken. What I wanted to add is that she kind of flip flops. Okay, she'll embrace that she's biracial. She says it a lot, which I do. I respect her. I really like that she says that biracial. But then there's other times she'll just say, "Well, I'm a black woman," and I'm like, "Well, wait a second. Both things can't be true." I've heard people say sometimes, black biracial, whatever the hell that means, but biracial and black, those are two different things, right? So when I'm saying that is that I feel like it's because in her position, she's essentially a token for a conservative network, PragerU, to be like the kind of acceptable black, quote unquote, per se, token to the public. But this is a mulatto woman, right? With a white mother, black father. Um, so that's one kind of critique that I have, is the fact that there's like, a flip-flopping. Today you're black and tomorrow you're biracial. I just would really appreciate if she stuck with the whole biracial thing. And even more so if she, embraced mulatto-ness, right? Or other people like the term Afropean, which I think is very, acceptable. And then of course, Euro-Afric. Regardless, we need to be specific about it because obviously biracial can mean anything. And yeah, I wanted to add that. Before I continue on.
Times. The solution is
Fair
to
use,
fix
fair use.
the game and make that equal, which would be a race neutral future. We should not be looking at race when it comes to college admissions at all. And when it comes to things like affirmative action, if we truly said we cared about minorities, it wouldn't be disproportionately affecting Asian Americans, as Candace said, like it is now. Why do we not care about that minority group?
We absolutely care about all minorities.
Yeah, because I think just background knowledge, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are well aware the whole kind of dilemma as far as Asian Americans have kind of come together and formed a coalition of sorts of different, Asian nationalities, American Asian people who are really challenging the Supreme Court. I haven't looked into all the details of it, but I know that they're really challenging the kind of university admittance procedures, right? As far as their quota system, as far as affirmative action is concerned, right? A lot of Asian Americans feel like the affirmative action is structured the way it is, they're being discriminated against because we know, I've given plenty of examples on this platform of my experience growing up with Asian American friends and how I've seen their family structure, their how they grow up and the academic excellence that's pushed within their culture, different from other cultures, right? They far exceed pretty much everyone else in America as far as academic excellence. And so a lot of them they're discriminated against, right? When they could be getting, overwhelmingly be put in these universities, right? Just based off their academic excellence, right? Their scoring procedures, because that's basically the criteria is a scoring. So they outscore people, right? But of course, they're being discriminated against in many regards because even though they score high, they're like, well, there's only a certain number amount of seats, for people to be admitted into the school. So they got to save a couple of those seats for a couple black people, right? Because there's this affirmative action, a quota. I'm just kind of glossing over. That's my general synopsis of it. But let me continue on.
minority groups, just like we care about all students. But I think everyone has a significant misunderstanding of these policies.
Now, right away, looking at this guy is very hilarious. I was seeing this, I'm like, this guy is literally 80% European. Okay, literally. But he's gonna be the downest, pro blackety blackest social justice warrior you have. And that's usually what happens with these mulattoes. Okay. In order to fit into the community, to get their acceptance into the community, they gotta fight harder than everyone else. Candace Owens doesn't have to do shit. She's dark skinned, she can sit there and laugh at you. And then of course there's male counterparts do the same exact thing. They can play PlayStation, smoke blunts, and chase light skinned women. They don't have to do nothing. Their black card can never be revoked. But this guy here with his light blue eyes and, looking 80% white, this guy has every day of his life, he has to prove himself that he's down for the community. We're going to go a little bit more into this gentleman here, but I just wanted to kind of give a brief introduction.
They're comprehensive or holistic in nature. This is one fact.
I like the kind of nomenclature he's using, right? The vernacular, comprehensive and holistic in nature. As far as this, let me continue.
Just like we care about all students. But I think everyone has a significant misunderstanding of these policies. They're comprehensive or holistic in nature. This is one factor among many other factors. And then we say across all those factors, looking at these and taking them in tandem, is this student best prepared? Because it's not just about your intelligence, that's important. It's also about your drive, about your resilience, about your ability to overcome challenges. And that's what makes you successful.
Yeah, but the structure has always been a testing criteria that they have in place, right? The IQ, the intelligence quota, that's always been in place. I wanted to add is that the majority of this audience is Caucasian, which is pretty interesting, right? you know, And of course, I mean, these people are contributing. You got two mulattoes here, okay, on the panel. And then Candace Owens, like I said, essentially wants to kind of marry into whiteness per se. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? But she has mulatto children. But she's going to make a remark uh, coming up that I definitely want to highlight. But let me continue on with this discussion about race neutral and how the kind of university practices are, favor some people over others. This conversation is going to be, it's going to be had, in the future as well. But it's been on a national level for quite some time. Like I said, I haven't really followed the whole Asian Americans kind of challenging affirmative action thing, but that's been going on for a few years. Um, and this clip was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So interesting. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
With those factors taken into account, Asian students and white students are discriminated against when compared to their Black counterparts. How is that the case? And it seems that with affirmative action, we've dictated we care about.
So she's making a point that Asian and white students are discriminated against compared to Black people. It's interesting how that's used, like I don't know how to frame this discussion. The standard, like Black versus Asian and white. etc. The interesting thing is you don't have quote white schools. You have private schools, Christian schools, and of course most of these schools in America is are named after white men or white women, of course. Of course. They're the ones who, basically laid a lot of the foundation for establishing the schools. And another note on that is, so like I said, you don't have really white schools per se, but you do have literally black schools. They're called HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. The funny thing about that, the beautiful thing about that, most of these black schools are named after white men, like Howard University. Howard was a general in the Union Army. You have Charles Drew University in Southern California, which is a HBCU. Charles Drew is a mulatto man, okay? And of course, all the blacks are going to claim him. Like I said, they claim all the mulattoes that are winning, but then they run their stupid mouth and throw you under the bus whenever you have a difference of opinion from them. Then they're going to outgroup you. Then they're going to take your black card and disinvite you to the cookout, right? You all know it. That's why you're here listening to me. You've all experienced that. And what I want to point out is that there's no and there's no Asian schools in America, but they outperform everyone else. They go wherever the hell they're accepted and they outperform everyone. Merit based, right? There's test scores, intelligence quota, your IQ. It seems pretty fair to me. I mean, I'm not a STEM major, but the STEM in California, the Cal State University system, which is the largest university system in America, the Asians are dominating all those schools, all the way from Berkeley, Stanford, which is Ivy League University, all the way down to San Diego State, Los Angeles, Cal State, LA, you name it, UCLA. Yeah. So, I mean, they're basically dominating. So, what I want to say is that, and then the so called white schools, now the social justice warriors, when I was, participating in meetings with the African Student Union at the university I went to, obviously this was, prior to my biracial wake up call, which a lot of you are getting right now. I think Jessica X, shout out to Jessica X, shout out to the UK. I think she's getting her biracial wake up call right now. Hopefully she can sort things out, make sure her pocketbooks aren't kind of, altered. She can stay on top. But I think she's getting a wake up call right now as far as American politics and the communita is concerned. But they use a language there. I saw at the university I went to. They call PWIs, which is predominantly white institutions. What the fuck does that mean? I mean, the people who built the institutions are white. It's a majority white nation. Now, I mean, you know, so what do you expect, right? But they use that language, but it's like you guys want to be there around white people and cry and complain when you have black schools, but you guys don't want to go to the black schools. You guys choose to go to the white schools, majority white schools, because you want to be accepted, you want to fit in. Most black people in America just want a white ass to kiss. They want white acceptance. That's all they want, more than anything. They'll throw their whole family, their whole race under the bus to get white acceptance. That's what black people want. Okay. That's who they worship. They worship white Jesus. And it's interesting. That's where the mulatto comes into play, the jealousy, envy, and hate towards a mulatto, because you have the proximity and you are more adjacent to white people than they are, right? All the buck dancing and smiling and ass kissing they do is still not good enough. They still remind them on a daily basis, you're still a Negro. Okay. So yeah, they have PWIs, which I didn't hear. I never heard of that until I was around some of these black circles, and they said, "Oh, PWI, predominantly white institution." I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's a white school. Most of the faculty are white, the teachers are white, the students are white. Especially the school I went to, like they built the damn school. So how are you you're a minority here. How are you gonna frame it? It's a predominantly white institution. Why don't you take your ass to the black schools? But they don't want to. No, no. There's a lot that do, which is good. But like I said, it's funny. Spelman, Howard, most of these schools are named after white men. Can't make this shit up. Let me continue with the clip. Fair use, fair use.
About Black students. We care about Hispanic students. These are the minorities who are going to benefit
Let's
from
not forget
this,
Native
and
American.
Asians are not, and Native Americans. But the through line is not necessarily socioeconomic status. It doesn't seem to be resources. It seems to be that these are the minority groups that we feel bad for. We don't feel bad for Asian Americans because they have a culture of high academic standing. They have a
Like I said, I've already reiterating that they have a culture of high academic standing, and that's Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, et cetera, right? I'm from Southern California, and I've already said I have firsthand knowledge within the college, university structure, and they outperform everybody, even white people, which is astounding. Like I said, these schools are not named after majority white staff, majority white student population, but Asian students outperform everybody. So the big debate, they're basically petitioning and challenging these affirmative action laws. Like, wait a second, this stuff discriminates against us. We're doing really good. Why are we being punished? Why are they, in this society, they want to cape for one demographic they feel sorry for. The same demographic who produces music that they sing songs and dance about their own demise, right? The same demographic they're caping for, right? Will sell their own people out for $1. They got a price. There's no code of conduct, right? You can be a pro black, you could be a pro whack, you could be down for the community, you can donate to Dr. Umar's school and everyone else, but as soon as you have a difference of opinion, oh well, shit, you ain't really down with the hood like that. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
Culture of drive and of facing adversity. We look at Black students and Hispanic students and Native American
as though
students.
we are inferior,
and we
that is
pity them.
That's what makes my blood boil. I mean, it's just, I am not less than you because
That's funny. They pity them. They don't think highly of them. They don't think highly of them. Now they throw in Native Americans and Hispanic and Black. That's the whole concept, like I said, of BIPOC, going right back to BIPOC, this acronym that just, poof, came, just appeared out of nowhere. Black, Indigenous, people of color. I saw that a couple years ago. I was, what the hell does that mean? You guys already got people of color, POC. They just added 2 other letters. It's like the whole LGBT thing. They keep adding letters, right? I don't identify with any of that stuff. I'm very specific. As soon as I started making videos, being public, giving the world my opinion, I was just straight up mulatto. Mulatto. And the reason why I've embraced the mulatto identity fully was to challenge the Black identity extremists, the Black supremacists like Dr. Umar, Tariq Fraud Sheed, Six the Stripper, the rest of the savages who push all the anti-mulatto, anti-mixed race rhetoric. That's my whole position, is to challenge that. And so mulatto is very specific. And of course, it ties us to the history, right? And excellence. And so all this other BIPOC and people of color, it doesn't mean shit. Okay. They used to call these people colored people. They just changed the kind of syntax, right? They changed the wording structure of it. Instead of a colored person, you're a person of color. But they added 2 more letters to it. Now there's Black and Indigenous, people of color, everyone who's not white, basically. Okay. But I don't fall into that group because I have white heritage and I am proud of my heritage. I know when you're surrounded by the pro wax, especially you biracial cowards who want to be pro wax, they're going to try to beat you down, and you gotta denounce your white friends and your white. I'm going to talk to a gentleman we got here in the chat. Sharp. What's going on, Sharp? Good to see you here. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on this week. I think Friday. Just kind of about the pro-black phase, right? And kind of how a lot of people who are, mulatto, mixed race, etc., how they're pressured in a way to distance themselves from whiteness per se, to get acceptance in the community. And it's all fake, right? And unfortunately, in academia, this is like one of the main vehicles they use. And this guy fell for it, They use cats like him. They need cats like him to push this liberal social justice warrior. And of course, it benefits Black people disproportionately, at the expense of white people, which is a majority white audience here, white host, and Asian people. People who are outperforming, who are developing the technology, putting their money up, developing the institutions. They develop the whole curriculum structure to educate people. So they're going to disadvantage them to level the playing field for other people. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
because you are white. I don't need you to look at me and feel bad for me because of the color of my skin. And that's effectively what you're doing every time you take an application. You say, oh, well, this girl's Black, so I kind of feel bad for her, so I'm going to put her at the top of a line. It's just not necessary. I believe, right, that Black Americans are capable of performing in the same capacity as their white.
Just wanted to interject something real quick. I'm not a fan of Candace Owens. Okay, yeah, I like Amala. Okay, right. Candace Owens, not so much. I don't listen to her. I'm not subscribed or anything. Just want to publicly lay it out there. I feel like she's a little too snobby for me. Okay, and yeah. Are there some points that I agree with her? For sure. Yeah, there's some things I agree with for sure. But I just want to publicly lay it out there that I'm not like a avid fan of Candace Owens at all. Um, just so we're clear. Continuing on, fair use, fair use.
White peers. You two don't actually believe that,
I
because
actually believe
if you
that.
support affirmative action, you are basically saying that Black Americans cannot do it on their own.
No, what I'm saying is that there's a history of racism and exclusionary practices. That instead, we're reducing it all the way down just to race. And what these admissions practices are actually doing is saying, no, there's a constellation of factors that we're considering in the holistic review of this
So
application.
remove
You
race
both
from the
are doing
applications.
is basically making it about race. You're saying these are the Black people, these are the white people, these are the Asian people, these are the Native American people, as you mentioned. But as one of the audience members said, what about people who are of mixed race? You know, I'm of mixed background. What am I supposed to mark on an application?
Check. Okay. Is she mulatto? This is why specificity is important for all you little golden characters listening. Okay. This is why mulatto-ness is specific to what I'm doing. I don't know what the other people are doing, okay, in the mixed race sectors and their, LGBT sectors, whatever. I don't know what they're doing. But over here, it's specific mulatto, which, of course, Amala here falls under the criteria, right? Even the gentleman here. But, of course, he's going to kiss black butt because he wants that acceptance, right? And, what I find with a lot of these biracials, like the multifacial hood rat, similar characters, they want black acceptance as much as your typical black American wants white acceptance. That is a dangerous recipe right there. That is a dangerous situation because they'll literally sell everybody out to get acceptance, right? They'll throw their own their own family under the bus to get acceptance from a group of people. That's dangerous. But like I said, this lady says she's mixed race. I mean, is she mulatto? I don't know. But that term is too broad, is what I'm saying. And I know it's very innocuous, it's very presentable to the public. It's nice, you're mixed race. Oh yeah. I know Andrew Tate uses that, his brother as well. Because from when I'm talking with people in Europe, they typically use that term, right? Obviously, English people I'm speaking about in the UK. Shout out to the UK. Mixed race is typically a appropriate term they use there versus here in America, people typically say biracial, right? Or mixed race, whatever. Me specifically, the Mulatto Vanguard, we say mulatto over here. Like I said, the challenge, the pro-wax, the black identity extremists, but also to embrace our history as a global people, right? Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
Am I supposed to mark multiple boxes? And plus,
Mark
if you are
black.
painting people
Mark black.
as an oppressor.
I want to get into this right here. This is a good part right here. She's saying, Candace Owens telling her, just mark black, check black, because that's where all the benefits are. You get all your little government bennies. Everyone can feel sorry for your ass. I don't do that, but let me, fair use.
Or if you're white,
That's a
and then
terrible
saying
thing to
that
tell
you're
someone to do.
oppressed
Well, it's the
if
truth because
you're
you
of
believe in affirmative
color.
action. So I said mark black. If you're a
Then-
mixed student, I'm in an interracial relationship, so I can speak to this. I have a son that's half white and a son that's half black and a daughter that's half.
Yeah, she has a son and a daughter. She has a mulatto and a mulatta daughter, but I doubt she'd use the term. I mean, I'd hope she would. Maybe I don't, in the future, time will tell. Okay, I'm a millennial. Time will tell. Things are, but of course it's a specificity, right? I don't know if this woman, she says she's mixed race, but what the hell is she mixed? That doesn't mean anything. Okay, you say biracial, mixed race. When you look at Amala, she says biracial. It's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, black, half something else. But what? When you say mulatto, it's specific, right? It's already within kind of the psyche of the world. And I'm telling you, globally, I've been to the African continent, been to Europe, haven't been to South America yet, but I converse and talk with people there, and obviously the Caribbean. People know, what you mean. Even here in America, several people. I've traveled this whole country. You say mulatto, people know. There's less room for ambiguity. Like I'm looking at this woman, I don't know who she is, but she says she's mixed race. Well, I don't know what the hell are you, mulatto? Like we have specific challenges and specific, I don't know how to put it. I'm not trying to say, yeah, we have challenges that are specific because of the kind of racial binary nature, within the United States of America between black and white. So we're put in a interesting position. I'm not saying I'm a victim. I'm fucking definitely not a victim in this country. What I'm saying is that we have challenges that are unique that need to be explored by us primarily. We need to group together and, sort things out, strategize and organize, and then of course move forward with the plan that will benefit us. So I'm not victim. I'm not approaching as a victim, but we are unique in the sense that we do have challenges. So I like the specificity. That's why I push it full fledged, 100%. So I don't know what the hell, it says she's mixed race. Well, that could mean anything. Basically, literally anything. All these blacks, I mean, darker, blacker than the fucking Black Panther, Shaquille O'Neal. I had a guy, respect to him. There's a gentleman who commented on one of my videos today, from the stream I did yesterday with Dr. Umar. He basically was saying, well, most ADOS Black Americans are mixed race, which I hear that a lot. Which, yeah, that's true. I give you that. Admixture, though. Admixture. We need to be very direct and specific, not mixed race. Most of your ADOS have admixture, meaning they have some remnants, trace elements of, non-African blood. Doesn't mean they're mulatto. So that's why they try to kind of, confuse the issue, right? That's why they try to wiggle their way in there. Well, we're all just mixed race. Come back to the pro-whack plantation. The issue is with a lot of you blacks, especially you pro-whacks, is you don't hold your own accountable. When we have some stripper prostitute like Six the Goddess running her stupid mouth, I don't see none of you savages holding her accountable. Okay, that's the issue here. So I'm sitting there observing all this stuff, taking notes, like, okay, let's see how this stuff goes. Let's see, because it's only going to be exacerbated in the future. This stuff is not going to just be pushed under rug and, silenced, right? There's going to be more and more and more. She's just one loudmouth idiot, showing off her legs and skin with makeup, and she's got a pretty face, and all the pro wax simps are over there supporting her, right? She's just one example, but there's going to be a lot more moving forward here in America. So I have people who listen to me from other places around the world. So I kind of went on a tangent. I apologize about that. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
Half white and half black.
Okay.
They're going to mark black because I know that there are people like you at the universities who will say, well, because this person is black, I'm just going to let them in.
No, they're going to mark black because they're black.
Do you have a story or a question?
He said they're going to mark black because they're black. Look at this guy. They're going to mark black. Yeah, you're black. Yeah, you are black. See, the thing is, take your ass to an all black nation and let's see if they decide, okay? Where black people, because in America, blacks have no power. They are the permanent underclass, the former slave class in America. And of course, with America's federal policy is always the second act of Congress. I believe was around 1786. So I don't have the direct, timeline, but it was essentially the second act of Congress was the Alien and Sedition Act, which would deem who could be a citizen of this nation. You are literally the permanent underclass of society. Your position has already been made for you. And I know a lot of you want to get out of that position. So, of course, your pathway into whiteness per se, or into mulatto-ness, is to marry into whiteness, marry into mulatto-ness, which, of course, the woman you're arguing with, Candace Owens, she took that route. And your favorite pro-whack grifter, Tariq Fraud Sheed, married a mulatto woman. He took that route. Your other favorite public media personality, Philip Scott, married a Hispanic woman, marrying into whiteness, okay? All your pro-whacks, they're not telling their audience this, okay? Literally the permanent underclass, the slave caste in America, your position has already been designed for you centuries ago. And so, but this guy right here is going to basically say, well, you're just black. Really, really? Well, go to a black nation and see if they're going to say that. Okay. Because I'm telling you, looking at you right now, they're going to call you broomy in West Africa and Ghana. Broomy, you're going to call you a white man. Okay. You go to East Africa, you go to Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. They're going to call you Mzungu, which is a white man. You go to South Africa, they're going to call you colored. Black people, like I said, in Africa, they're the majority. So they make the rules there. But in America, these Negroes have no fucking power. They don't make any rules here. That's why I'm always amazed when these type of people, they entertain these characters, especially on the internet. But he's a professor. He's a doctorate level professor. He's getting paid. He's getting paid. He's to push this type of social justice warrior liberal shit. He's getting paid. This is part of his 6-figure contract. He can get up here and get, free publicity on Dr. Phil. Hey, look at me. Literally looking 80% white. He's getting paid, to push this. You're just black. You're just black. Okay, well, go to a black nation. Let's see if you're so black, okay?
Black, I'm just going to let them in.
No, they're going to mark black because they're black.
Do you have
Interesting. Okay, that was the first clip. I have another clip here and I want to get into. Apologize for that. Anybody have any questions? Let me get into some of these comments actually, because I want to get into some of that. But I do want to get into the background of the gentleman that was on the screen, Dr. J. Luke Wood. So let me get into some of these comments real quick. Shout out to all you in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, Sharp's in the house. We got something for you here. Yeah.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Shout out to you. We also got Hybrid in the house. He's saying, when we mess up with either white or black people, they get punished harsher. That's partly what she's probably afraid of. She's afraid of bringing attention to herself if she classifies as mulatto on national TV. It would be shock value, and she's probably not ready to receive unjust pushback. The thing is, she has a majority Caucasian audience. I'm in her Discord, and from what I'm seeing, it's basically, Hispanic, white, and other non-black groups, right? So I'm not, her audience is primarily not black, so I'm not sure what the pushback would be. But, she's kind of in this position to be the token, basically, to be a token, which they need. Candace Owens kind of fits that position. And there's many others. Let me see, who is it? Those are the two more prominent ones at the top of my head. She said she's hired through as a black woman. Exactly. That's what but she embraces kind of being biracial, which I really like about her. That's what kind of attracted me to her at first. Like, oh, okay, yeah, she's identifying herself correctly, biracial, but she's supposed to be the token black for this conservative network, PragerU. It's like, you're not black like that, Amala. Everyone can see it. Asians get a 15-point penalty on IQ test, and black people get a 15+ points. I'd like to definitely see some data on that. So definitely send me that, because which I believe it. But it's pretty interesting. Pro-blacks seem to focus on Chicago. You rarely see mulattoes commit crimes besides some occasional acts of stupidity and partying. Yeah, I think we kind of talk a lot behind the scenes about some interesting stuff like that. Tell me a time there was a huge mulatto mob rioting streets at Walmart. Oh, yeah, we talk behind the scenes. There was an interesting development. I got to go back and look into that. Shout out to everybody who sends me emails, who sends me messages and everything. I appreciate you guys. I'm here to serve you guys. But yeah, I get a lot of interesting kind of sources, and people send me things. And I know you, Sharp, you sent me something just recently, I think yesterday, and I definitely got to go back and review that, because that's pretty interesting. I'm going to take a quick segue real quick. And just give me a 1 minute.
DJ Primo. I came up off the streets of Tacoma. Since elementary, we were selling G's of marijuana. Told the teacher I wanna be a G. Bitch, keep that diploma. Niggas knew to stay away from me, cause they heard I keep that 40. Go ask D-Loc about me. Bitch, that's my big homie. Now I'm speaking, teaching precepts. We keep them loaded. Repent or feel the heat. Fuck that, each his own shit. Catch me in Atlanta on the East is on 6. I'm on flash shows, I'm on Counter Road, boy, I be on Glenwood. Try me, come on, nigga, I wish a bitch would. I'm like like the big old engine that could. And like an engine, I don't work right unless I am in hoods. Grew up grooving, I ain't mess with in hoods. Now the 60s with me, we repented, it's good. You know I'm brewing like I went to school in Westwood. Yeah, Howard Shaw said sell that oil. I'm like, yes, Lord, let's judge.
Here we got Dr. J. Luke Wood.
I grew up grooving stupid. Where them shells at? Young fools, only thing we knew to do was sell packs. Confused, and I heard some Hebrews, and I felt that. Now I'm on a highway to heaven in a Hellcat. I grew up.
I like that track. It's a heavy track right there. Mulatto Cat as well, but it's a pretty heavy track. I know the guy got, Sharp in the house. He's not really a fan of hip hop, which is okay. But I like hip hop. So let me continue this. Here we got Dr. J. Luke Wood. Of course, it has equity assessments. 7 things you didn't know about Dr. J. Wood. He's I don't know the terminology they have. Adjunct professor, I guess that's the right phrase. Excuse me. At San Diego State University. Yeah. San Diego State University. Interesting. So that's here, but I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, you're not black like that, man. I know that's your identity you're going to push forward, which is very common with mulattoes in America, is what I'm seeing. I was never forced or pressured into blackness. I gave it a shot, like I said, in my 20s. I definitely felt I wanted to embrace that more. But I learned a lot, especially when I started to see the anti-mulatto conspiracy theories, the Chancellor Williams, that, pretty much all your high-level pro-wax push. Then I started to take a step back, was like, well, wait a second. This is not going to go in a good direction. But guys like him, they found a home, right? They found a home. I guess for them, they felt like, oh, it's easier just to, get paid, to be a pro-black, I don't know, because I'm looking at him like you could definitely assimilate white society, any society, basically. Just be a good citizen, be a good person, work hard, support your country, have some principles and morals. But the social justice warrior grift, and the thing is, you notice how mulattoes get elevated to the top. They use them as the face. Now, who is they? They use them, because I kind of stress that language, because we're already put in a box as a conspiratorial, especially with pro-wax. You can't trust a mulatto. They're being used. But I feel like it's black people who are pushing him up forward, right? I honestly do. Kind of like they did with the gentleman, what's the cat's name? Smokey Robinson, right? In the Motown era with Berry Gordy. They pushed him all the way up front because he was very presentable to the public. And I feel like with a lot of these institutions, these universities, it's a similar thing they're doing here, right? They're pushing him all the way to the top because he looks presentable. And I found, because how else does he get the position? Yeah. Dr. J. Luke Wood. And it says, I share special thanks to Joanna Brooks. Okay. Under the direction of SDSU president, Adela de la Torre, who was like the first Mexican woman president of that school at that time. It was a couple years ago. So this is recent information. But I'm looking at him. I'm like, bro, really? It's like kind of like reminiscent of Sean King. Sean King, where a lot of the blacks are basically like, well, you just a white guy. And I'm looking at him like, damn, like he looks like that basketball player. Is it Klay Thompson? Isn't that what that cat's name is from the Golden State Warriors? Basically, it looks just like that cat. So, oh man, you a white boy, you ain't black like that. But he wants to fit in. He's like, I got a cape for them. I got an afro. Let my afro out, kind of like Colin Kaepernick. This is a good grift. I can get some money. Plus, these blacks, because they hate themselves so much, they'll put me in a position above them. So yeah. And I think I got a little Wikipedia here. And of course, I got the next clip. I'll share that as well. But I got the Wikipedia here. I'm not going to go all the way deep into this, but 1982 was an excerpt, I believe it's an excerpt, right? The Black in the Crimson and Black, the first Black distinguished professor at SDSU University. Interesting. Yeah. 41 years old. He's from Oakland. He was adopted by white people. I wanted to point that out. I read that somewhere. I did a little research, and he's adopted by white people, similar to Colin Kaepernick, right? But here he is, literally fighting against white people in their structure, even though they took him in and took care of his ass. You know, that's how he repays them. Is like, well, these blacks are at the bottom. I got to help them out too, you know, and I'm going to get paid big money to do that. So, you know, they assert that race lighting can be conscious and unconscious. They define race lighting as an act of psychological manipulation where people of color, doesn't mean anything, people of color, you got your Filipinos, Mexicans, they all got color, doesn't mean anything, receive racial messages that distort their realities and lead them to second guess themselves. It's all social justice warrior hogwash, as far as I'm concerned, unless someone else tells me otherwise. Black minds matter. I'm looking at you. You're not black, dude. J. Luke Wood, you know, California State University, Sacramento, BA. His master's was at the University of Sacramento, Arizona State University, where he got his PhD. So now he's teaching back in California, but at San Diego State. So he's educated primarily his BA, MA level was up in Northern California. He's born in the Bay Area, went to Arizona, gets PhD. Shout out to J4 Conversations, AJ the moderator. He's out there, ASU. But then this cat he went to Southern California, SDSU, which is the Aztecs. Black minds matter. Like, dude, you're not black, man. But hey, you know, you're getting paid. It works out for you. You know, that's the community you want to serve. Good, you know, have fun. And of course, it says here, Wood and Harris argued that when companies and universities released statements of solidarity, they are inauthentic and have no plan for action, that these statements serve to race light their Black, Indigenous, and people of color constituencies. Now, you see, this guy isn't just caping for Black, he throws in Indigenous and people of color. This is literally like a script, a playbook they're playing by with this type of nomenclature. Like there's somebody funneling in information to him to spew, because it would make sense. You have Black heritage, you look more white than anything. You could just be, you know, pro-Black and lean more towards that side based on your kind of enculturation process. You're from the Bay Area, Oakland, which would make sense, you know. I think Kalani, I think that's her name. She's like an R&B singer. I think she's a mulatto woman. She looks kind of more white. I think she's from the Bay Area. So it kind of makes sense with a lot of people from that area raised in there. But I'm like, they throw in the Indigenous people and then people of color, but you have Black. So they're already telling you right there, Black and then people of color. What the hell are they? Who are the color people? Who are the people of color? Okay, we know Indigenous means Native American. It's like the politically correct term for Native American is Indigenous. We got that. Black, we know who's Black. Okay, the people who cry about colorism all day. But who the hell are the people or color people? Who the hell are they? It's the Hispanics. It's the, you know, Filipinos, the East Indians. Anybody that's not Black. Yeah, doesn't mean anything. What I'm saying is there's a script. I feel like this guy's given a script or something, man. I don't know, man. To spout to this playbook. I don't have any words to describe it now. I'm a bachelor's level cat. I'm not a doctorate at this guy's level, but his whole career, man, this grift. I want to lay that out for you guys, a little background information of his kind of academic level and who he is. I already showed you guys some pictures. I kind of feel like he's basically kind of like a Sean King type guy. Let me just share one more time. Look at this guy. It looks like Sean King, you know? Remember when they were talking about Sean King? They're throwing Sean King under the bus, calling him Martin Luther Cream, all your favorite pro-wax, you know? But here he is. He's in this position to cape for the community. See, I fell out of that shit. It didn't take me long to realize. I was like, I am not gonna lose with you savages. It didn't take me long to realize that. People like him, they've made a whole career of it. Good for you. Good for you. But me moving forward, I'm gonna talk about it and highlight this, and know what not to do. So let me get into some of your comments. Appreciate you guys being here. Those of you who've kind of stuck around. I remember that self-hater treasure on Dr. Phil. If that was a biracial being so anti-black, pro-blacks would never stop talking about her. Yeah. The major topic and subject of discussion for pro-wax is always going to be biracials, right? The people they envy, the people they wish that they were. So that's, like I said, I had my wake up call. I realized, oh shit, I'm trying to help people who are, secretly envious of me and wish they were me. That's sad. And UDC, I saw a clip. Like I said, Dr. Umar Johnson has so many clips out here. He publicly, at one of his speaking engagements, Dr. Umar Johnson publicly said he's against interracial relationships because with the mulatto, the biracial child, he said when a black man, a dark-skinned black man, the first thing he thinks of when he sees a biracial man is, I wish I looked like him. Out of the mouth of Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm not making this up. I'll eventually find the clip and share it with you guys. He literally said that verbatim. And he's a psychologist and he counsels and talks to black men, pretty much his profession every day. He literally said that when a black man looks at a biracial man, the first thing he thinks is, I wish I looked like him. Now, obviously, it's not everyone, not every single one, but he's just giving Dr. Umar out of his own mouth. He was kind of giving a general observation. And it says the name is Gugu Bathu Ra is another beautiful mulatto woman. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna check it out. Actually, let me see. Gugu Bath. She's a British actress. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of her, but since you kind of mentioned, I can pull it up for you guys right here. Yeah, the British are. I was thinking about that the other day. How talented British actors and actresses are. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Quintessential mulatto woman. Yeah, for sure. And of course, you have here it says it's like Justin Jones in Nashville. He's Blasian. Interesting. Those mulattoes are radical Marxist pro-blacks. They're cogs. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, they can't even just stick with just pro-blackness. They got to throw in indigenous and people of color. So they're already laying out the differences, right? When they say black and people of color. Who the hell are the people of color people? Like I said, for me, I know it's everyone who's not white. They're throwing everyone else in the same damn box. Basically, dark-skinned Filipinos, which a lot of them are darker than me. Dark-skinned Mexicans, a lot, Hispanics, a lot of them are darker than me. So, because I'm dark during the summer and the sun's coming out, I get darker. But in the winter, my ass is pretty light. So, so who the hell are they talking about? People of color. Okay, I got the second clip here, guys. This is going to be the final clip. I just wanted to share these two clips with you guys and provide kind of my analysis on it. What are my, general observation based on it? And of course, with this one, again, I'm going to say fair use. Fair use is for educational purposes. And it's only about 4 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to get into it, provide my commentary, and yeah, fair use.
I read, see in the media.
I guess to start out, I apologize. The clip is the debate on reverse discrimination, which is essentially, connected to the whole university, what they call the quota practices. What do they call that? Affirmative action, right? Debate on reverse discrimination. Okay. Fair
Talk to
use.
people about this is a topic that almost everyone feels strongly about one way or the other. I want to hear what the audience.
Oh, okay. I want to pause there because remember the lady here said she's mixed race. We're like, okay, well, yeah, pretty lady. But doesn't say anything, right? That's why I stress the specificity, which I think over time, I've already known with my efforts, people are using mulattoes. I'm seeing even this, some of these pro wax and these black winosphere characters and all these other people, even within the mulatto spaces, right? Or what was initially called the mixed race spaces. Just from my voice, being an active voice for the past, 8 months or whatever that I've been uploading videos, talking to people, more and more people are using the word mulatto. And it's not just because of the rapper, you know, who she kowtowed and changed her name like an idiot. But of course, she kind of falls in line with SJW. She wants to kiss black ass. That's her market. That's fine. What I'm saying is I've noticed a lot of people are starting to use the word mulatto, and there's gonna be more in the future. It's just inevitable, especially with people like me. The more videos I upload, the more I connect with people. More and more people are gonna be using the term mulatto. I've seen people here on YouTube change their whole fucking username to mulatto something just because of me. Yeah, I'm not, trying to pat myself on the the back or whatever, but it's a fact. You don't think I've observed this stuff? I've seen these people, okay? People are fully embracing the mulatto designation. All you little golden characters, you little black female worshiping feminist, okay? All your efforts are futile. The mulattoes are here. You can continue. I mean, you guys are going to go out of your way to create us anyways, okay? Or are they going to solely identify with the black queens? I mean, let's see. The dust vesters. Let's see. Let's see.
I want to hear what the audience has to say. Yes, sir, in the back.
Yeah, if you're white, someone can discriminate against you, but there's no systemic basis to it.
But if it's becoming part of the university admission process, if it's determining hiring practices, dismissal practices in industry, is that not systemic?
You could nitpick and find little instances on both sides. But I think if you look at it as a whole, then you begin to understand where it's coming from.
Who else?
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I want to point out again, reiterate, it's a majority white Caucasian audience, right? Which I find very interesting. But they're talking about issues that affect, the Caucasian population indirectly because of this reverse discrimination component, right? Where they have to kind of uplift another group and disadvantage another group to make things more fair and balanced. But it hasn't been working. Their experiment they've been using, like I said, with the academics, like that cat who's literally fucking white himself, Dr. J. Luke Wood, kind of like Colin Kaepernick, was raised by whites. To their whole opinion, their whole position is they got to re-strategize. We got to do this, use this method, use this. They come up with fancy nomenclature, like he said, race lighting or something. I don't know if that's a term he's coined, and I haven't really looked into his whole philosophies because what the hell's the point? He's, what's the point, man? He's gonna just throw everyone else under the bus to serve blacks because he wants acceptance. Even though he was raised by white adopted parents, despicable. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
Else has a comment? Yes, sir, in the back.
My name is Dan, and I think it's great that you try to fix some of the inequities that have happened in the past. But I don't think it should jump to the front of the line when you're going to college or you're trying to get a job. I think it's important that we address it very early on, where a lot of the major issues are happening in the families of some of the ones that are maybe disadvantaged, or if they're having trouble in school, it started at the elementary school level, where once they get to the admissions process or get to it.
And yeah, just like I said, he's talking about, basically dealing with the issue, from the start, right? Not letting metastasize and all the way into the university level where it's a complete mess. The universities, we're finding out in America, it doesn't serve men in the way historically it's has. A lot of men realize it's not just white men, straight white men, but just straight heterosexual men in general are like, fuck this. Because I saw a video the other day. I think it was published a few days ago. I'm not going to share it today. But it was basically some guy who went on campus asking people what they think of Andrew Tate. And of course, he asked mostly women. And they're basically like, oh, Andrew Tate, he's a misogynist. And he asked them, can you define misogynist? They couldn't even define it. But they're using that term. Oh, he doesn't like women. He's a misogynist. Well, what does a misogynist mean? They couldn't even define the fucking word. That's the level of programming at these universities. I think that was the video I'm referencing. That was at Georgia State University, if I'm not mistaken. I saw the clip earlier today. And even the university I went to, the first time I publicly heard the word toxic masculinity was in a class. And of course, the bitch, literally the bitch who used the term toxic masculinity, she cut off half of her hair and the other half of her hair was blue. Can't make this shit up. These are the type of creatures you see at these universities, especially the one I went to. Literally, she clearly was attracted to women. She didn't like men. And so, of course, she's going to use this type of language, toxic masculinity. Chops off half of her hair, the other half is fucking blue. Fucking weirdo, man. That's not normal. And of course, these people are all over the damn place on these university campuses. So a lot of men are sitting there looking. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I had to balance it out. So I took jiu-jitsu and wrestling at the college and the university I attended. I transferred. I went to a junior college, community college, and then I took wrestling classes there. But then when I transferred to the university, then they had jiu-jitsu. I took jiu-jitsu there. I had to balance it out, man. You know, they had a gym on campus. They had a punching bag. I was like, look, I can't sit here with a lot of these, random characters who want to just tell me that I'm, as a man or whatever. I mean, I had to do some man shit. I had to balance it out. And so for me, martial arts and fitness is a good vehicle for that. What I'm saying is a lot of men across the board, not just Caucasian men, just heterosexual men are realizing the universities have failed, a lot of them. And they're serving specific demographics. A lot of these LGBT, feminist, particularly because the feminists, a lot of them, they're, LGBT, lesbians. Obviously, Hybrid Vigor has a lot of expertise and analysis. He can definitely articulate that way better than me. I'm learning from him as far as that's concerned. So yeah. Let me continue on. Fair use.
To a job interview, it's based on your merit.
Candace, are we compromising standards
Yes.
if we do that because we haven't fixed the problem down the line?
That's correct. It is the policies are harmful also to the people that they purport to help. And we have all of the evidence there to look at. When you artificially place a Black American into a school in which they do not belong based on their knowledge, doesn't mean that they go on to get A's. In fact, there was a Black adjunct professor, you guys have definitely heard of him, Dr. Thomas Sowell, who was teaching at Cornell University, and he found that.
Just wanted to pause real quick. Thomas Sowell, yeah, she said adjunct professor. I just want to reference a lot of the pro-wacks don't like him, right? Why do you think that is, right? Like, Jason Black, the whack authority, he doesn't like Thomas Sowell. He always references Thomas Sowell as being like Jason Whack, the whack authority, he calls everybody a white supremacist. I mean, you can order cotton candy or vanilla ice cream and he'll say it's white supremacy. The guy who doesn't show his face, doesn't cam up, but he's got a lot of followers. All the pro-wacks, your favorite pro-wacks, they like him, which is primarily the ghetto people. This is the thing you notice with all your pro-whack savages. They're all ghetto, right? Most all of them. I'm talking about the internet ones. The real people who are proud to be Black. They're in the community. They're doing stuff. They're supporting Black businesses. They're embracing their African culture. The real ones, okay? But a lot of these bobblehead, knucklehead baboons on the internet, like Six the Goddess, okay? They're ghetto as fuck. They're extremely ghetto. And they follow that type of rhetoric and they navigate towards those channels like the Black Authority. Most of his audience are ghetto hood boogers, so they know they're not shit in society. They're at the bottom. They're the underclass. That's why they're begging for reparations. So they got to listen to someone like Jason Black to give them self-esteem, to make them feel good, like you a Kang and Quang. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, right? Same thing with Dr. Umar, similar kind of strategy. Give the people confidence because they don't think highly of themselves. They sing and dance to songs about harming themselves. So they need this pro-whack leader to make them feel good. And let me continue on. Fair use.
That the majority of the Black American students that were there were on academic probation. Now, these students were some of the smartest in the nation, but because they were artificially placed amongst their peers at Cornell University, they were failing on academic probation. These policies have never helped Black Americans. It's just basically policies that are put in place to make people feel good, right? I feel like I'm doing something when in fact I'm actually creating harm. You either know the answers or you don't.
When you say, hey, we have Black students at a particular school who aren't performing at that school as well, the immediate assumption that you're making is, well, maybe it's because they're not smart enough, they're not good enough, or they don't belong here. Whereas it could be about the experience that they're having at that institution. Professors who
Experience they're having at that institution. They're being discriminated against. We got to hold their hand. When they got Black, the reason why these schools were developed now, historically, these HBCUs were developed for the mulatto people, right? Of the kind of plantation class, right? I don't want to say this, but now most of these HBCUs, they serve basically just Blacks, right? So you have schools you can go to that can serve you, but he's talking about, well, they don't, how they're feeling on campus. He's at San Diego State University. The Black population at San Diego State University is literally like 2%. And out of that 2%, literally fucking half of them are Black immigrants, Nigerians who outperform your ADOS, your FBA, your proud slaves, your underclass. The Black immigrants outperform them. Jamaicans, Nigerians, they can call them tethers and immigrants and all this other foolishness. It doesn't matter. The numbers, the facts are facts. They outperform a lot of them, okay? And so within that 2%, literally 2% of this guy, the campus he works for, SDSU, is Black students. And so it's like, oh, we got to, analyze how they're treated on campus. Why don't you take your Black ass to a Black school? Because the Asians, they don't have that privilege. There is no Asian school. The population of Asian Americans are less than Blacks, and Blacks have their own damn school. But they're begging and crying and kissing white butt and doing everything they can to throw their own damn race under the bus to kiss white ass to get to these white schools. And once they're there, they're going to whine and cry. They're not being treated good. There's colorism and preference. If you're lighter skin or mixed, they like you better. I'm dark skinned. They don't like me. So they're going to continue to cry, cry, cry. And of course, they got their little token biracial, right? And I'm not falling for this guy's shit. He's a decade older than me. I've seen this, but now I'm here talking about it. So congratulations. And yeah, let me continue on. I'm going on a couple of rants this evening. This is all good, all fair. Fair use, fair use.
About the experience that they're having at that institution. Professors who believe that they're not intelligent enough, that they don't have the capability to do the work, that they see them as criminals, deviants, dangerous, up to no good, or they talk about them with the they statements. They're lazy. They don't care. They don't really belong here.
It's interesting because the school I went to, the school I went to, I remember seeing some Pookies at the damn university, who, like, I don't even think there were students. I don't even think there were students on campus, but of course the Quains and their little sorority, they brought them around. So, I think that's a whole nother subject. I don't want to get into that now, but I thought that was pretty funny, man. I saw a couple people who didn't look like they belonged with their little ghetto, do-rag, trying to act tough, but of course they'll get on their knees for their white massa at any second. They only want to act tough with other Blacks, especially your biracial ass, because they wish they were you. So they're going to try to act all uppity and tough with you. But I saw a couple of them on the campus that I was at, and I thought it was funny. They definitely look like they're out of place. Like, you don't have a book in your hand. Everywhere I went to school, I had a book in my hand. All my courses, you're required to read. You have to have, book, notebook, paper, pencil. I don't know what the hell you're doing on campus. Even though this stuff is digitized and we have, online courses and stuff like that, your ass is still going to be reading something. So yeah, this guy's an interesting character, but he makes six figures. Okay. He works at a university, a very successful, high level university, San Diego State, which I'm very familiar with. So fair use, fair use.
They're only here for the
Could
financial
be, I'm
gain.
giving you actual facts.
No,
right?
I'm giving
We
you
can-
actual facts
we can
based upon
fantasize and you can
extensive
say, well, maybe they
research
just
that's
don't
been
feel
done.
good. But that's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school. Probably.
Yeah, I'm see, like I said, I'm not a fan of Candace Owens, but when I watched this video, I was like, oh, I'm on her side right here. I like her position here. This whole feel good, because this light-skinned savior here, this mulatto light-skinned savior with his cape on, going to serve the community and be their hero because they're looking for their magical mulatto. They're looking for their Kamala Harris Obama to save their ass from themselves. And he's going to sit there and be like, well, they don't feel good. They're on campus. The teachers don't think highly of them. We got to look into that, the feel good shit. This is a merit-based institution, okay? They have the intelligence quota, your IQ. They measure your test scores. And of course, based on that, you're going to excel. I mean, this whole feel good shit, go consult with a therapist. Go take a music course, music therapy. Go to the gym. I didn't feel good a lot of times. I was pissed off. Like I already mentioned, I'm going to mention it again. I went to the gym, man. I did jujitsu, wrestling, kickboxing. I went to the gym. There's a lot of times I didn't feel good, and I found ways, to deal with that. I'm not going to sit here on national television and cry to the world. They didn't feel good. We got to change the system so we can do better and perform better. You got black schools. What the real question is, why don't you guys want to go to those schools? No other demographic in the nation has black school. No other demographic in the nation has schools for their own people. Like I said, there's no white schools. You have private schools. You have majority white campuses they built the damn school. It's theirs. Okay. The majority of teachers and the majority of the money that's put into it's them. But you guys cry and beg and crawl on your feet to get into their schools and their businesses, their institutions. When you guys got your own damn institutions that were established centuries ago, at least we're in 2023, over 100 years ago, you guys have institutions still standing today. You guys don't even want to go to those schools. You want to go to the white ones. That's your major problem. Okay. Let me continue on. Fair use, fair use.
They're only
saying
here for the
could be.
financial
I'm
aid.
giving you actual facts.
No,
right?
I'm
So
giving
we
you
can-
actual facts
we can
based upon
fantasize, and you can
extensive
say, well, maybe they
research
just
that's
don't
been
feel
done.
good. But that's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school. Probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that we're talking about a cultural problem. What's going on?
Bingo. Thank you, Candace. Like I said, I'm agreeing with her here. I'm not a fan. I don't subscribe to her, but I saw this clip. I was like, oh, I'm on Team Candace for this clip. This is excellent. See, I didn't feel good. I mean, I was a fuck up in high school. I got in fights. I didn't. I dropped out of high school. I eventually went back and went to an adult education school and got my diploma. Right? California, they have a weird thing. It's called the Cal State Exit Exam, I believe it's called. I don't know, the acronym is KC or something like that, but you have to take a specific test in order to get a high school diploma. There's an extra criteria on top of the credits you get from your courses. You have to take a math and English course. So I had to go do all that. I dropped out earlier. I came back a few years later as I was a working adult, got my diploma. Then I went to the community college level. Then I transferred to the university level. So my academic journey has kind of been extensive. I'm not a STEM major, but I wanted to prove to myself that I can accomplish a goal, setting a goal for myself. And, and of course, my family, everyone in my family is college educated. Damn it, she said something that I got to rewind that. Sorry,
We're
guys.
talking about a cultural problem. What's going on?
That's what it was. The cultural component, right? Because we've already kind of basically stated that it's like when you look at other demographics, the demographic that's being discriminated against, Asian demographic, their culture is academic excellence. And I saw that early on when I was, fucking up, literally messing up in school, not taking things seriously. I had Asian friends, Asian neighbors in my community, and they were exceeding. Their parents forced their ass to do good in school. And so it's a cultural value system with them. Versus you get to your black students, they're just trying to chase white ass, trying to get white approval, kiss white butt, be accepted by whites, and trying to dance around and get everyone to smile at their little dance moves. And they're not pushing the academic excellence like some of these other demographics. I'm calling a spade a spade. If you got an issue with that, then let me know, because I'm going to be here. But the cultural components is the main factor, the value system we have to evaluate. The main factor is the culture, the cultural differences. In some groups, they're being punished because they have an intact culture, where they value academic excellence, or other groups where their culture is just, decaying. Because they're disadvantaged, we got to lift them up at the expense of everyone else who built the whole damn institution. Even though they have their own black institutions, but they don't want to go to that. Oh no, they want to be close to their massa, to kiss his butt and to serve them. And they're going to throw your mulatto ass under the bus to do that. And a lot of you are getting your mulatto wake up call. Like I said, I respect Jessica X. Shout out to Jessica X. You're just one lady from the UK on YouTube. You've been on YouTube for a few years. You garnered a pretty good audience, majority black men. I've been watching from the sidelines. Now I'm here. I'm uploading content, making videos. Look, I'm telling you, a lot of you biracials, you mulattoes, you're gonna get your wake up call eventually. So yeah, just depending when.
I didn't pull
Fair
the
use,
best
fair
grades in
use.
high school, probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that we're talking about a cultural problem, what's going on back at home, as was in my circumstance. None of that is because of institutionalized policy. It almost seems like you guys refuse to accept that, Black students aren't performing.
Yeah, they refuse to accept accountability. It's a cultural problem, a value system. They want to blame the institution, the structure, the patriarchy, white supremacy. It all is going to go back to white men. The men who built the fucking school for your dumbass to go to and get educated, to learn, the Pythagorean theorem, the science, the ethics, morals, and all the other kind of Greek philosophy. The same people who built the damn structure, you're going to, try to take power from them in a sneaky, kind of cowardless way. Right? You're going to blame them for everything. And they open up the doors for your ass to be educated. They're paying you money. You're going to throw them under the bus. And you're not going to take accountability that your culture is flawed. Your culture is failing. Your culture is not even serving you. It only serves one demographic, and that's the women. Okay, you're talking about the community talk because he's a pro whack. Look at his little afro. Literally 80% white looking at him. Basically, Sean King 2.0. And Sean King married a black woman. Not surprised. The culture, it serves black women. Okay. And all your pro whacks, they serve black women. I'm going to get into that in the future. Okay. Like I said, I'm not making money with this channel right now. But I will be pretty soon. I'm going to get into that in the future. Some of the more kind of other elements of the pro whackness, not just the conspiracy, but literally the angles and who they really serve. Black women's, the pro blacks, the pro whacks, they serve women. And the men are sitting there at literally simp enforcers asking, what's my purpose? What do I do? A lot of you are going to end up creating more of us mulattoes. And that's why a few years ago, I realized I got to plan and prepare. I already see the trajectory of where things are going with the whole passport bros, the SYSBM. I already see where things are going. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to let them, I don't want these people to go in and try to serve these blacks and get spit in the face. This channel, this is the third option here. I know a lot of you don't like my tone. He says some mean words. He's aggressive. I don't give a fuck, bitch. Why don't you do something that's comparable to what I'm doing? Everybody, you have an internet connection, an email address, you start up a YouTube channel, go right ahead. I'm still going to be here. I don't know. I don't know what the future is Golden's dumbass thinks she's going to do. Like she has any influence, making her little foolish claims. I'm still going to be here. You can get your little, black feminist, worshipers. I'm still going to be here. Right. If you don't like my tone, tough, go do something else. Go be a little softer tone, kissing butt somewhere else. But continuing on, fair use. We're almost done here, guys.
Well, you feel like you have to have this burden of responsibility when in fact, if you actually wanted to help, you would look at the facts, re-examine the fact that it's not helping anybody. It's not helping Black Americans to artificially place them into universities, and you'd make effective change.
But you're making the assumption that Black students are academically inferior, and they're not.
No,
they're
you
some of
are
our most
actually.
brilliant students that we have.
Basic. No. That you are making the assumption that they are inferior.
You just said that they don't belong there.
Policies. I'm talking about the students that are based on the policies that you are defending right now, saying that we should have these policies that let them into these universities, not based on their skill set, but based on the color of their skin. So you are assuming that they are inferior.
Do you have a story or a question?
That's it. That's a whole handful. Yeah, that's partially part of the clip. Candace Owens literally knocked it out the park with that one. I'm going to drop the link for you guys. If you guys want to jump up on the panel, critique that, couple short clips. We're a little over an hour into this. I'm not going to be here all night, but I'll stick around for a few more minutes with you guys and chop it up. And it says they play mental gymnastics. Once it comes to accountability, everyone in the world knows about them. Right. They say you're mean, aggressive. They haven't seen anything yet. Their pre-1960s era used to have the most vulgar, apathetic tonality. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just only getting started. This is a brand new endeavor. I'm not even a year deep into this. And for all you losers and idiots who want to make claims about buying subscribers, I mean, you people are fucking fools. YouTube is an educational platform. If you're too stupid, it's one thing to get subscribers. And the thing is, it's the engagement, the views and engagement says more. Being able to retain and sustain an audience is more than your subscribers. Today in 2023, your subscribers matters if you want their little plaque, your little silver platinum plaque per se. But if you guys can't even grow your sub count, there's YouTube videos on how to improve your channel and grow your channel. You guys are fucking dense. When I first started YouTube, I was watching videos on how to cook, Panda Express orange chicken. I was looking at YouTube videos on how to do it yourself project, for my car, diagnostics to fix my car, to play songs on my guitar. I was looking at educational, informational stuff. If you slow, golden, mixed race fucking losers don't know how to grow your channel, your whole content is based off drama, and you want to throw out these claims. I went on Social Blade and he's buying subs. You guys aren't even worth engaging with. You guys are behind me, beneath me. You're the fucking scum at the bottom of my shoe, and I'm going to treat you as such. I'm not worried about you idiots. You can't compete with me. I got a solid team. This is the Mulatto sphere over here. All your little other weak shit you're doing with the ghetto hyenas and the rest of the savages, I'm not interested in all that weak shit. So we got sharp discussions on a panel. Good to see you, sir. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just at work, relaxing. I'm just hearing you go on a tangent right now concerning people that are complaining. The thing about YouTube, a lot of people go to YouTube for drama instead of educating themselves because YouTube is a huge library. I'm not telling people to be YouTube scholars because you should always research whatever you watch, but YouTube gives people a good base and idea from where to start.
Yeah, precisely. It's a whole library and catalog of information, right? Some people use YouTube to be, entertained, which I do at times for sure. There's a lot of good channels I like. But initially, when I jumped on YouTube, it was like, hey, I want to learn how to do this, fix my car, play a song on a guitar. There's so much you can do here on YouTube. There's like millions of channels. That's why I'm surprised. People act like it's very difficult. I mean, building a large audience is not an easy thing. Some people strike luck, and based on their connections and stuff like that. But in marketing, whatever, in your specific niche, I knew going into this, if I would just did a pro black channel, like there's biracials who do that shit. What's that cat's name? He literally looks like a mulatto. His name's MTR, Mediocre Tutorial Reviews. He's basically like a black channel, basically, is his audience. So I already knew I could have, 5K plus subscribers. I have hundreds of people in my chat. If I was just kissing black ass, talking about black women or black men and all that shit, that's not the reason why I decided to upload videos. This is mulatto specific because we need our own space. Like I'm saying, Exhibit A, this situation that's going on with Jessica X and this ex prostitute stripper. Her name is Six the Goddess. I heard a comment she said on a live stream yesterday. She basically told her, oh, you don't have a home. The blacks don't accept you. The whites don't accept you. So you have nowhere to go. That's why I started my channel. I'm telling people, look, there's going to come a time where these blacks, they get irritated with you. They're going to tell you you're not black. And you're going to be left out there thinking and analyzing. That's why Jessica's been silent the past couple of days. She took down her last live stream. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to go in on Jessica, but I like the lady. She's biracial, and I support biracial people, mulattoes specifically. And thing is, blacks are going to let you know, hey, where they're going to gatekeep, which is their right to do. Where does that leave us? We got to have our option. This is a third option here, and it's going to grow. Like I said, I already knew initially it's going to start out small. It will grow over time. The more I promote the channel and I inform people that we actually have a network over here. So I'm not really concerned about letting everyone in, like the, multifacial movement or the ghetto grandma. They basically have black channels. That's why I laughed. I had a community post where I was basically like, she said like a month ago, she's not in the biracial mixed race sector. But here she is making biracial videos. I knew her dumb ass was going to do that again. All she has is the fact that she's biracial and drama. It's a drama Jerry Springer channel. And it's,
Right. Well,
go ahead.
right. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is what you just described, I would say I agree. I probably could have predicted it to a T. But let's look at the real reason. The real reason wasn't just she said that because the content creators in the space said enough was enough. So we know what the real reason is. I mean, what happened? The content creators, when she was going into monoracial channels and arguing with all these other content creators and ladies there and so forth, people here said, look, we don't need this. Like, you can't be going off on all these. Where you go is your business. But if you're going there and yelling out, oh, I'm from a biracial sector, I'm from a biracial space. Hey, we're not interested in that stuff. We're not going into other spaces having arguments with people and promoting that kind of stuff or whatever she's doing. I mean, it just wasn't responsible behavior. She just doesn't understand that the way things are being, I mean, you see it in the content here in this space, right? You said this is another option, right? Another way. You're seeing it in the content that's coming out here. You have, what's it? I think it's Magic Mulatto with her emphasis on business owners and interviewing professionals. You're seeing some of the other content creators getting into other niches and doing stuff. That's what's happening here. We're not going into other spaces and engaging in, as you mentioned it, Jerry Springer like tactics. I mean, I see what's been going on here and I see what's going on, and people are producing content. That's the difference. Yeah, we have some disagreements and people don't get along, but hey, people are producing content. And the content's generally pretty good. And that's important. And that's what you need to focus on. And so if we're going to attract people here, it has to be based on the content and what the channel owners and the content creators are doing. I think that's the key.
And I want to add on that. And the thing is to let the content speak for itself, right? And people will judge. The general public, the audience will judge. Hey, this person seems level-headed. He's educated, done his research, and he presents the information in a way that's very resourceful and helpful. It's not just entertainment per se. We're actually informing the public, letting them know you have another option. There's people here within our small space, our circle, that we can connect with, we can bounce ideas off of, and we can literally build a community with. What I wanted to point out was that when you look at some of the other people, like ghetto grandma, I call her multifacial movement, they're basically black channels. Okay, the whole mixed thing is a grift for them. They don't have mixed race channels. Majority of their audience, majority of their moderators, everyone, they're just black. Like, I'm not discriminating against and saying black people can't tune in or listen or participate. I have the link dropped. People are welcome to join the panel. But I emphasize mulattoes because, like I said, a mixed because we need our own space, because we've been kicked out of a lot of these black spaces. We went there thinking, hey, I identify with you. I sympathize with your plight. But then we got characters like, Six the Goddess, which of course, unfortunately, Jessica X is starting to realize that a lot of them are going to push back. Now, if Jessica X responds in a manner which I would respond, they'll call me racist, which is fine. That's cool. See, it's funny. They never point out blacks and their racism, but they always want to point out everyone else. So like, yeah, if Jessica X responded, that she'd probably lose some support. If she said something she really wanted to say, because she's dependent on a majority black male audience. That's not, I didn't go into this thing trying to kiss black ass. That's not the audience I want. I could be way more successful. My channel would be a lot larger, more views, etc. if I did that. That's not my intention. I want the people I have over here on my channel are the people I want. And the more effort and money and basically effort I put into this channel, the more it's going to grow and the better the production value, and just, basically promote it, market it to have more people come in. I want mulattoes to know they have another space. If you want to say mixed race, biracial, that's fine. I just need people to know we have a space over here for us. Okay. So yeah, I said a lot, but go ahead.
That's important to note. See, what you just noted, that's the point. That's why this space exists. That's why we have mixed race spaces. That's why I came here, because I had been on biracial groups on social media and I was elsewhere on YouTube. And I thought, why am I not in biracial spaces? I'm in biracial groups, Facebook and whatever. Why am I not doing it on YouTube? So I started going on some of these channels. But I think an important point that you noted is that, and I got to be careful in saying this, like, I go into monoracial spaces, but when I go into monoracial spaces, I don't promote biracial subjects and topics because I don't think it's appropriate there. I understand, hey, this is a channel that's not, I'm a visitor, I'm a guest. This is a channel that's not operating that way. And so I may say I'm biracial, but I'm not there to discuss biracial topics. And I always say the reason why I'm in groups is I can talk about biracial aspects or what pertains to mixed race people with mixed race people. And I think it's appropriate that way. Whereas you can't really do that in monoracial spaces. And I don't really think we should do it unless that's the subject that comes up. Then I have no problem discussing it. But one of the reasons when you were talking about, what did you call it, ghetto grandma and multifacial movement, as you called them, that's part of the reason that they're not welcome in this space and why I don't believe they should be in this space. And I think why they've been kicked out of the space is they aren't really interested in producing content for biracial people and having biracial people be a part of the, how do I put it, the process in a full way. They're kind of this vague free speech. Oh, we want to hear everyone's perspective. Excuse me? That's fine if you have a channel that's not about biracial content and you choose to talk about something else. Like I have a channel, my channel is not about biracial content. So although sometimes I do biracial videos, videos about biracial subjects, I don't do biracial content. So I'm open that way, right? But if you are a biracial content creator, but you want everyone's input, monoracial and other people, then you aren't really a biracial content creator. You're just a biracial person who is a content creator. And that's not why we have this space. We don't have this space so that we cater to a monoracial audience. We have to cater to a biracial, multiracial, and mixed race audience. That's the whole point. So if we're not catering to that audience, then we're failing.
Right.
And that's important. And that's what they don't get. That's what ghetto grandma and multifacial movement don't get. That's why they're a problem.
It's funny when you say it, man. I know because the thing is, I know my delivery is very assertive and I ruffle feathers. I intentionally do that. I have some choice words that are kind of vulgar and very offensive, I might add. And I do that intentionally. I'm within the parameters and the guidelines of the community guidelines of YouTube. But I tend to kind of, use phrases and words that I know are going to kind of tick people off. That's kind of the shock value. But I think it's important sometimes that I do that to get the message across. But I just want to say it was funny how you said that multifacial movement, because that is funny. But I agree with everything you said. So Hybrid joined the panel. I think Sharp is here as well. Hybrid, you got something to add?
I was gonna say, you guys don't hear an echo, right?
No, you're good. Your audio's good.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's because it's a choice that it's mostly black audience. I think they've done that out of desperation, like out of lack of delayed gratification. It's kind of like to get more people, because it was always a grift, right? It wasn't really about. It was pretending to be about biracials, but it was always just a quick like bait and switch. Like it was more about them. It's more about making money. So whenever I feel they would inflate who they're covering to compete. So they would say, "Oh, we're covering everybody." So so they would have more people, and they could kind of shit on us with them.
Exactly. It seemed like they got a whole army or something, but it's nothing but black manosphere incel simps, basically, or just random creepy guys like Irby, like random creepy guys. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the delayed gratification is a major component. I see that with a lot of those, particularly with those two characters. Like they don't
Yeah,
look at the future. They just right away now they want, let's create a Jerry Springer show so we can get a lot of viewers in the chat, a lot of back and forth fighting. And it's like, but these hood rats got kids. I mean, imagine what their children think when they grow up and they look at their mom. They type up their mom on YouTube or Google, and they're like, "You're here fighting with getting drunk and fighting with random people on the internet." How despicable is that? If I knew my
It's not
mom,
gonna age well.
it's
if I knew my,
embarrassing. It's shameful. It's
yeah,
shameful, really. That's why I couldn't tolerate it. I just was disgusted by her behavior. I
yeah,
really
it's
was.
despicable. Yeah, it's despicable. Yeah, like I said, I already knew they're gonna bounce back and do biracial content and dip off and be like, "Well, I'm independent now," so and they're gonna come back and yeah. Sharp, do you have anything to add, Sharp?
Yes, I actually agree with all three of you. We have to continue to diversify our content. We have to get into different sectors of industry. So pretty much what I follow is Booker T. Washington's philosophy. It's like we have to diversify our content, go into science, news, and people can't cancel us if our information is valuable. And they would actually want to seek mulatto talent. So it solidifies us in a sense. So if they see mulattoes on YouTube talking about different subjects and content, then people want to collaborate with us and actually invest in us. So we just have to continue working, and we'll see that return of investment soon.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Exactly. Let the work speak for itself with our content, our work. And we all have different, especially us here on the panel, we all have different kind of areas of expertise that we're really, our strong points are at. I mean, I'm still kind of trying to find mine. I feel like I have a good voice. I can good projection and stuff like that, but just trying to fine tune specific topics and niches that I'm really good at. But like you said, I agree with you, diversifying the content, but definitely embracing the mulatto identity full front, letting the world know we're here. For me, my whole position is let people know we have another option. We have another option. You don't have to just try to fight for acceptance in other people's spaces. Literally create your space or seek out a space that's more inviting, that's more fitting and custom to you and who you are, which is, biraciality, mulatto-ness, etc. But yeah, I agree with your points. Does anybody else have anything else to add, or Al or Hybrid?
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say that what's important is that I mean, it's not rocket science as I see it. I mean, we've talked about the basics, right? We're doing this content for a biracial audience, a mixed race audience, a mulatto audience. Like any other space, you do content. If you have a space, you have a whatever you want to call it, sector, whatever you call it. It's there for that audience. It's like anything. When you have a movie, it has an audience. When you have a genre of movies, it has an audience. When you have a TV show, it has an audience. And that's no different in some respects on YouTube. It's a matter of building the audience that we have. And again, what I see with this space is the content is there and has been there, and it's diversifying even more. And I think when we get rid of people like, Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial Movement, AB and others who don't want to be part of the program, it benefits us because we don't have the problem people here in the sectors. Like I was saying elsewhere, the difference between this space and some other spaces on YouTube is we make sure the trash gets taken out. We make sure the garbage gets thrown away. And we don't want garbage people and trash people in this space. And that's what the people that I noted and you noted represent: garbage, trash people, because of their behavior.
See,
They just made
I
it
think, can
clear.
I say something quick? I was gonna say, I think Golden Goddess originally was going to make like a Jerry Springer type show. It was supposed to be like a T channel, and it was like Bobby Cat. And then she kind of seen this, and she kind of like grifted. She kind of took the grift towards it.
Yeah, but from a YouTube perspective, here's the thing: from a YouTube perspective, because I have a sort of program on my channel where I talk about YouTube. The main thing is transparency. If that's what you wanted to do, go do a
she didn't
T
tell us
channel.
that, yeah.
Go do a gossip channel. But you can't do that with biracial mixed race foundation because there are not enough content creators, there are not enough viewers, there are not enough people where you can grow a channel like that if you want to become a big YouTuber. And I think they wanted to be big YouTubers. And if they did, hey, go to the T channel or wherever other spaces and do it. But you can't do that in a biracial space because there just aren't enough people. And the kind of content we have here is not suited for that. But what happened is the so-called, and you brought this up before on a live MV, the Umar Johnson sector. They got involved in that Umar Johnson sector because from what I know of that space, there's that space is a toxic mess. It's a mess because there's a lot of fighting and a lot of arguing. You have people doxxed. You have people had the cops called on them and all kinds of things. Jobs threatened, all this kind of stuff that goes on there, continues to go on there. And that's what Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial Movement love because that's what they're about. I mean, we all know Ghetto Grandma has a rap sheet longer than I've had hot dinners. I mean, let's be brutally honest here. That's what she's into. So the place that they go to, I guess they still go there, I don't know. But that's the kind of model for them. And they wanted to import that here, I believe. And it didn't work because there's no fertile ground for that. There's no soil for which that would grow here. It just wouldn't make sense.
Even when they do try to cover biracial topics, I find it's so crudely done and rough that it's almost like you can't really get a conclusion because it's not even articulated enough in a way to be able to say anything clear, to say any definite or clear statement at the end or direction that we should go in. It usually ends off with "it is what it is," which is what it started with, right? She at the end says "it is what it is," right? Which is like, why did you have a stream if you were just at the beginning, right?
Again, yeah, I agree. They're just not good at the biracial content aspect. They're just not good. Maybe the smaller
They're not good at
videos they
anything.
can do. That's true. I was trying to be a little fair to them, but
That's what I was saying. They're not good at anything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, their heart's not in it. If their heart's not in it, go do something else. That's the thing about them. I just thought it's just they don't know what they're doing. They're lost. They're doomed. They really are. They're lost and doomed.
They need us for content.
They really are.
They need us for content. Their whole
I
brand,
think you're right.
their whole
Yeah.
channel is based
Mhm.
off drama and Jerry Springer. They were friends with Future is Golden. They threw her under the bus. They made a whole live based on her. It's funny because Future is Golden uploaded a shorter video, and she got more views and more likes and engagement than those two baby mama idiots. It's like their whole brand and content is based off fighting people in conflict, and everybody sees it. I mean,
Right.
the people they serve are the low IQ people. Okay, sadly, there's a lot of black people in the Umar Johnson sector, whatever sector they come from. A lot of black manosphere guys, they watch the Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial, so they have that demographic there, like Irby, The guy can barely speak English. He can't even write. If you look at his text, his grammar, he can't even spell correctly. They have the low IQ people over there that support them, which is fine. But then they want to come over and tippy toe and dabble in the biracial affairs, and we're like telling them, look, we don't want you people there. Over here, you guys do not represent us. You're horrible representation, because we have an international audience. I have people who listen to me in Jamaica, the UK, Canada. I have mixed race mulatto people around the world, and it's like, look, I don't want to be associated with these ghetto scumbags. I don't. And I am a bit classist because I don't come from that. I don't come from white trash or black trash. Okay. Both sides of my family are middle class Americans, and I'm proud of that. And I promote that. Everyone in my family is college educated. I don't want to be associated with the drama, foolishness stuff. We're actually looking for solutions and developing a community over here on this channel, Mulatto. Emphasis heavily on mulattoes. Public platform. Everyone's welcome to tune in and engage. I have the link in the chat. I'm not discriminating against people in that nature, but we need mulatto people. We're not asking, we're demanding to have our own space, and we have it here. As you said, hybrid, delayed gratification. I know over time, the more effort I put into this, it's going to grow. It's just inevitable. But yeah.
Yeah, and again, they don't seem to understand that they understand now. They just don't fit. They just don't. And that was made apparent because I didn't know that Ghetto Grandma had all these, was arrested so many times and had a rap sheet a mile long. I didn't know all that.
In her mugshots, yeah. She's smiling in her mugshots. She's like, "Oh, I look pretty in my pretty in my
cool,
mugshot."
like, she's trying to look cool in it.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. And when I saw her drunk on that panel, that's what did it for me. I just said, this is, like, I didn't come to this space to deal with crap like that, because I saw that kind of stuff in the Umar Johnson sector when I saw some of the channels, and I was on some of the channels there. I saw so much of that, and I just got right. If they wanted to behave that way, okay, fine. But seeing that as bad, if not worse, from her, I just said, you know what? I just don't want to deal with her. I don't want to deal with her, and I don't want to deal with multifacial movement. I just don't. I didn't come here for that. And they
use. I feel like they use.
It's an embarrassment. Go ahead.
I feel they kind of lure men on there to use them as cannon fodder. Like they always try to kind of incite the men to kind of take shots at other men, like usually us or something, in a way that like she knows they're going to get demolished. Like she's fully aware that they're going to get demolished, but she doesn't care. Like even with you didn't realize that a lot of the times when they're reinforcing you going after me because they know I'm going to come after you. That's why they're trying to get you in a fight, and then they want to make it entertaining. They're going to use that as the entertainment, but they don't care about what happens to you.
Well, one of the things was I was trying to tell them, I was subtly trying to tell them, because I don't try to tell people what to do on their channels or whatever. I was trying to tell them, look, you guys are targets. And they didn't get it, because I realized later on they're not that bright. In fact, they're not bright at all, but they don't get, they don't get the message. And it's like, you guys are obvious targets. And it's sort of like, maybe you should find a way to avoid arguing with everyone. Even if you aren't the cause of it, maybe you should find a way to avoid it and kind of move on to other stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, here's my take. And I know if they find out about this, they're not going to like it. I don't think they think much of biracial men, personally. I really don't. I don't
think they don't.
I don't think they like men. Like men, I don't think they think much of men generally. But
we're just servants, pretty much, and we're used as proxy violence tools, especially in real life. What's that in the background?
It's hybrid.
Oh, sorry, it's
Go ahead.
Yeah. What I was going to say is, they're the type of hood rats that use men for proxy violence, and these men are going to die for no reason. Because they don't even like mulatto men. They like black men. So these mulatto men camping for them, they're just wasting their lives and time. But for their spaces, they're not talented at anything. They're probably going to self-destruct. I give them 2 more years. That's about it. After 2 years, they're probably going to dissolve and they're probably going to scatter and be part of the Hotep sphere.
I give them
I
less than
think 2
2
years is
years.
generous. Yeah,
I,
2 years
I,
is generous.
let me
I'm
say
generous.
2 years
let me
is generous.
let me say something. I give them less than 2 years, but the thing is, I don't think they even like men in general. I know Hybrid has an excellent, on top analysis that they don't like men because multifacial is publicly called black men nignogs, which is divest their language. She's bisexual. She's attracted to women, even though she has a child by a black man. So she has her kid already, but she's bisexual. She's less attracted to women. Her behavior is very, it's obvious. And Golden Goddess is publicly stated she had a bisexual lesbian experience on New Year's. So these women are into woman sphere, lesbian, separatist, feminist type stuff. And they both publicly stated how they don't trust biracial men. They don't like biracial men. We have all these receipts on Golden Goddess and all the chats and the messages she puts. And even I'll lastly say this before I go to Hybrid. A multifacial movement, when she's arguing with a biracial man, the first thing she's going to say is, oh, you're light skinned, you're weak. She's lighter than all of us here. I mean, she's literally like very white passing. That's why she has to overcompensate to sound like a hood rat to try to get her black creds. But that's the thing. So the first thing she's gonna say is, oh, you light skinned, so they don't like men in general. They're same sex attracted. Go ahead, Hybrid.
Well, I honestly do think they both actually prefer mulattoes. Don't get me wrong. I do think both of them, like just going off what they've said historically, but I think it has to do with the criteria. It has to do with that they have more worth in the black community to black men. Like, right, we're like, you know what I mean? Their market value is worth more, kind of there, so they're going to get more for their buck, kind of thing. I really think it's more about that. I don't think it's as much of an option. Like they're going to be more likely like to go with a baby mama. They're going to you know what I mean? It's going to be much easier for them to get a black man than it will be, I think the average biracial.
100%. Yeah, their attitude. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree.
To handle, who's going to handle that? Yeah.
Yeah, because they know a college-educated, me and you, mulatto guy, all of us here on the panel, we're all college-educated. Sharp, his military experience, we're all smart guys. We would not tolerate any of the antics and foolishness that they present. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. And I think what I see now that I've been thinking about this in the conversation, I think they really thought that they could straddle, right? That they could do maybe biracial content and be in a biracial space while trying to do all these other things. Try to invest in, what do they call it, T sector, or be in a monoracial, or be in monoracial spaces. And for me, when I looked at it, it's like they don't want to commit fully. They really do believe, and this reminds me of conversations I had with them. They really kind of believe in this kind of all-inclusive, which I'm normally for. I don't have a problem with.
I don't think they believe that.
No, what I mean by that is this. No, what I mean by this, they believe in reaching out. They don't want to be stuck to one audience, because I've heard them say something along this line. They don't want to be stuck with one audience. They don't want to deal exclusively with biracial people. They also want to talk to monoracial people. They want to talk to people who are in other kinds of spheres. So they're about not narrowcasting, to use a broadcast term, which is what this space would be. But they're about broadcasting on to different audiences. So I see what they're about, or I've seen what they're about.
Money.
But the problem is that's hard to do on YouTube, because you're trying to reach different audiences, and you don't really have a channel or channels that can bring in a wide audience and a diverse audience and that kind of audience, or those different strains of audiences. That's the problem they have on YouTube. And so that's why they were kind of straddling. They don't want one audience. They want 2 or 3 or 4 audiences. And that's why
I think it's because they're opportunistic, though. It's not really that they don't really have anything. It's kind of like, well, whatever is going to make money. It's kind of like, you know, whatever's going to work, whatever's going to bring in some kind of. That's where I think they're ultimately going. They're just trying to.
It's driven by opportunism, but it's also driven by a sense of they don't want to be limited because they see the space is limited and they don't like it. They chose to come here. They chose to make content here, but they don't like it because it's like. And I've heard them complain, oh, it's just the same people talking and we're talking to they just don't like talking in a biracial space. They want to talk to a bunch of people. And that's fine. Go ahead, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. So my thinking is they feel intimidated by us because they're used to talking to Pookies and Ray Rays who are dumb. So they're used to viewing men as dumb. But when they come across a crowd like us, then the whole game is changed. They're like, oh shoot, I can't talk on their level, changed. So I have to throw insults. I have to do anything to minimize your accomplishments, and we can't let these feminists minimize us. Like, and it's good that men are running the space, and women can come on here and observe and discuss. But for the most part, we're patriarchal, we're pro-family, and we believe in the nuclear family, which is good, but these feminists, they think that they can run all over us, but once we tell them, like, no, like, what you're saying is wrong and this is why, then they resort to childish tactics. So that's my belief with, like, this whole entire beef is more about them feeling intimidated by us and how they can't get over on us.
I think that's about holding on to power. Right. I think that's a good point because I think when I think about it now, I think about a couple things. One, I think that Golden Goddess and multifacial movement were so associated with biracial space. This biracial space, they were front and center, and that became problematic because they kept being targets with all these other people they were fighting, and so it became difficult because it ruins the value of the space. If you have people like that seen as leaders and as the major movers and shakers of the space, and so when they were able to be ousted and able to be ejected, I think the space was able to calm down a bit, and we were able to just keep on track and keep focused. And I have to agree with Sharp in one thing, and that is when I was on their panels, I really did get the feeling that they were uncomfortable with the way I spoke and what I was talking about and my approach to it. I always got the feeling that they wanted more, how do I put it? I guess Jerry Springer-like tactics and fighting and stuff like that, even though that necessarily wasn't always on their panels. I think they kind of were bored with having discussions where, there wasn't some light. It wasn't lit enough. There wasn't enough heat.
You were one of their props, Al. You were a prop in their Jerry Springer show. That's what the men are. They're props.
I was an obstacle when I was on the panels. Not a prop. I was an obstacle because I think they were irritated by the fact I wasn't that kind of person.
They don't want you to think for yourselves, and they cater to a audience that has low attention span. So if you don't have a low attention span and you're a scholar or intellectual, then there's problems and all these beefs are manufactured anyways. Like it's not by accident. It's not like, a conflict that happened because of a disagreement. Like they're manufactured and they aim for certain people on purpose. So just notice that it's not our fault. They aim for us in the first place. So we were chosen to. Yeah. Were you going to say, please?
It was me and Future was going. They did try to trick us into a fight. Like they would invite us, but not really tell us everything, but hoping that we were going to clash. And they would try to it was like they wanted to, I guess, get views off that, right?
Well, in my case,
because my bad.
Yeah, in my case, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Sharp.
Yeah, they tried to do that with me as well because me and the Future, is golden. We were talking, I think about 3 months ago. It was on Discord, and I'm like, "Why are you beefing with Mulatto Vanguard and other spaces?" And she came with stories like, "Oh, these men are toxic. They're here to drag you down." And I'm like, "How come you can't make peace?" Because they don't want peace. They just want to overtake us. Because mature adults, like mature adults, at least they try to make efforts to make peace, but they don't want that. Like, oh, we're having cases against them. They're harassing the women. The women are respectful. We need you to defend us. I'm like, okay, like I know where this is going. Like, you just want me to be a pit bull and commit proxy violence, and I'm not for that because there's two sides to every story, and I know that these feminists, they will never ever expose the second side. So it's always half stories and fallacies with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what they're trying to do, especially the ghetto grandma, she's trying to prop up Anthony Ali. She
Yeah, so
initially tried to do that with him, and he basically backed out. And they tried to punish him. That's where Maltese started getting all vulgar, talking all this mess to Anthony Ali. They tried to get him to be cannon fodder. They, when he was like, "Hey, it doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this?" So they backfired on him, and they're like aggressive with him. Now they're trying again. She's very
yeah.
desperate. She's a drunk lady, right? Ghetto grandma. So she's trying again to bring Anthony Ali. Hey, come in here and challenge these men, be cannon fodder for me. And it doesn't serve him anything. We all like him, and they did that with Bluish, and of course, look at where he's at. He's despicable creature. Look at Bluish. I mean, he's desperate and pathetic. So they've done that with him, and they'll probably try it again. They try to get desperate, men.
Remember when they were supporting him when he was against us? They were all over there already. Remember, they were there for like weeks. They were flying his channel. They were watching
on his panel.
And
then,
disagrees with them. They're gone.
Yeah, like the angry biracial. He's such a disgrace.
Oh yeah.
Like because I followed him. I followed him briefly because I was just entering the Golden Sphere. I knew of the Golden Sphere spaces, but I was just peeking every now and then. And he had 1,000 followers a month ago. Now he has 6,000 followers. That's suspect. So how do you go from 1,000 subscribers to 6,000?
Well, he got
because
boosted.
he's working with Cynthia G.
Yeah, no, he got boosted because he's had help from some people, biracials behind the scenes who are part of the divestment. They're part of the divestment. They've helped him with the script, pushing the divester stuff. So he's a grifter. And he went on TikTok because he got exposed all over YouTube because he's a career criminal grifter. You just can't trust him. Everything's a lie. Even his own his mom, his whole story's a lie.
You don't know
what. He's had help. On TikTok. He's had help.
He's got to be the most bizarre case I've seen in this space, because I normally haven't seen anyone. Just everything about him is like, I don't know if he has mental health issues or I would assume he does, but when he started attacking biracial women, that's when I said,
and then the war,
something's not right with him. I knew something wasn't right because
he's trying to be like Kevin Samuels.
At one point,
and then now he's denouncing Kevin Samuels, though. But back then he was saying that Kevin Samuels was like his saint, was like his person he looked up to.
Yeah, he's a grifter, man. He's like an absolute grifter. Yeah, he was pro Kevin Samuels. Now he's pro Cynthia G.
Yeah.
It's so despicable, man. Yeah.
So he's pro, and Cynthia G is not a fan of biracial people. I'm not saying she hates them, but she's no fan.
Specifically with white moms. And so the people who have been helping, you notice the people who stood by angry biracial when he was slandering everybody, they are the people. They're part of the divestment community. So they always talk about we're gonna get into their ass in the future as well.
Oh yeah. Not to interrupt, you made a good point. I've seen divestors attack biracials with white moms, and we need to report that because there's a post last year. They're like, oh, biracials with white moms are more degenerate. I'm like, really?
There you go.
So if you want to attack us, then we're going to have to attack back because these black women, I'm tired of them playing victim and being the aggressor, and everybody's tired of them, like the whole entire country. And I'm at the point where I want to show my face and speak out loud because everyone feels the same way about black women. their communities are full of crime. They want to talk crap about everybody. They want to be aggressors and the victim at the same time. Now you're going after mulatto men with white mothers and calling them degenerate. Like that crosses the line, especially the women that have the white mothers and say, oh, you have to jump them and who cares about them? Like,
Well,
they've crossed the line so much.
they've
It-
crossed
it's
the
be-
line. Look at what's going on with the Jessica X. Jessica X is from the UK. She's a mulatto, biracial with the white mom. Six the goddess. She's a pro-black and crying about white supremacy. Look at her. She's being very aggressive with Jessica X, who has a white mom. So you're absolutely right. The pro-blacks and the dust vesters. What I'm saying is, Angry Biracial has a white mom. He doesn't claim her because he's a crazy criminal. He pretends that his mom's Arab. But he's a part of it's all for money and profit. He writes fictional books. So now he's pretending to be a divester guy, Cynthia G, when, a few months ago, he was pro Kevin Samuels. And the thing is, the people who've helped him, who stood by his side when he was against us. Remember, he lied about me and Hybrid. He created fake receipts. He made up all these lies saying that I robbed somebody and that I invited an underage person to drink beer at my apartment. He made up an entire that's what he does. That's his skill set. He makes up fake stories and he publishes books. He's already been exposed. But see, the people who helped him when he was slandering and defaming me and Hybrid, those people, I'm going to say it, they have black moms and they are a part of the divester community. They're pro-black women and they were helping him grow his channel over on TikTok and become more prominent. And ever since he went against biracial women, one in particular who's been mighty silent lately, then some of his kind of inner circle, they started to kind of turn on him. It's funny when you look at these politics of some of these little wacky mixed race spaces and you see that a lot of these people, they serve black women. They're not even for mixed race people, mulatto people in general, having our own group because they got a black mama. They want to serve black women. So I'm very, I started figuring this stuff out the past, several months being around these spaces, but I'm analyzing this stuff, looking at it like,
Yeah,
but go ahead.
My bad. But the thing is, like, once we get our own census and mulatto census, and black women that do this are in major trouble. Like, so there's going to be a lot of truth, like revealing of truth, and like the darkness come to light when our group becomes a national census, because, like I said, we're tired of the BS. We're tired of pro-blacks, being an aggressor, playing the victim. It's like, okay, if you want to fight against us, then we're going to have to fight back too, because there's only so much like time that you can push our buttons without us retaliating. I'm not talking about physically. Don't think that I'm initiating violence, but I mean politically, speaking out against us in the media openly, and they do it very comfortably as well. Look at Umar; he's very smug, and that's something that ticks me off. Is like these people get to speak out against us loudly, and they know that they can get away with it with no consequences. So I'll probably say in 3 to 5 years, once we get our own demographic, things are going to change, and we have to be very strict and ruthless because that's how they treat us. So they're going to, get what they dish out as well.
Well, Umar
I also think a lot of. You go for it.
Well, Umar's sneaky, and when I was here for the video, when you went through it, I wasn't aware of his tactics in regards to biracial people, and so I see what he's up to, and that's why I did the live stream I did about Umar, because I had taken the 3 points that I noted on this channel and I expanded upon them, and I said I see what his game is with biracial people. I see what his game is. He's not dismissing them. He's not criticizing and bashing them the way that other people are. He's trying to bring them in to he's trying to bring them in by pretending that he is on their side, by pretending to give them respect, by pretending to listen to what they have to say. So long as they are basically wannabe, so long as they are monoracial oriented, so long as they don't see themselves as biracial people, which is what they are, then he'll do that. So that's why I said this guy is dangerous when it comes to Umar's dangerous when it comes to biracial people, because I see what his game is, and it's not a game that a number of other people are engaged in. They will criticize biracial people in the communities, but I see what Umar is up to. And so again, you know, when we look at what the challenges are, again, I'm so glad people like AB and Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial Movement are gone. Like they're gone. We don't have to deal with them. Maybe they're dealing with other people have to deal with them on YouTube. Thank goodness. But we can kind of move on and we can get this content out and we can do what we have to do in this space. And I was just going to note that when it came to like, I think it was, you know, Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial Movement, I was set up, essentially. I mean, when I went on her panel, basically I was set up by them bringing in a couple of people from the Zumar Johnson sector to lie and attack me. And people from that space also were in the chat. And there's no way that was just happened to be random. And what's interesting was how they reacted to it. See, I just thought, oh, okay, this is the game you're gonna play. I won't have anything to do with you. I didn't think that Ghetto Grandma and Multifacial Movement would be protesting my statement about, or my assessment of their little setup of me on Ghetto Grandma's channel. I didn't think, see, their reaction said a lot to me, because they seemed they seemed irritated and offended and outraged. And I'm like, why does it matter to you so much? That was the thing that I thought was kind of interesting. I'm like, why did they care? Because I didn't care. I just thought, okay, you made your best move. It didn't work, but you made your best move. I won't deal with you anymore. That was my reaction to it. Is like, okay, afterwards, I'm like, I won't deal with you anymore. That's it. But when I noted, you know, it's a setup and all of that, they seemed like indignant and upset. It's like, how could he say that about us? Look, we had him on the panel and we did this and we did that. I'm like, wow, why are they so, you know, they had a strong reaction to it. And I think it was a combination of factors. I think it was the fact that, you know, Ghetto Grandma was being exposed by her actions in these other spaces, and that was blowing up. That was working against her. But also, they didn't really have anywhere to go. So I think that didn't help them. The fact that I came on their panel and they had other people come on that panel to try to ambush me, that kind of blew up in their face. And so I that's what I think it was a combination of factors. But the fact that they were indignant about it and just acted like they were outraged at my stating that was interesting. I don't know if that was a show or an act or anything. I would assume it was, but I didn't expect them to behave that way. I honestly didn't. I just thought, hey, you made a move against me. It was a setup, and I was ready to move on, and I did move on. I didn't really think that they would be so outraged and angry. Did they actually think I was going to put up with that? Did they actually think I would just go, oh, no problem. You try to set me up. You try to get people to lie and attack me. You try to get people to come after me. Oh, it was just fun. It was just entertaining. No, that's not fun. That's not entertaining. You know what you were trying to do. You're trying to ambush me. So I took it as an ambush, and I said, okay, you're going to do that? I won't have anything to do with you, and I move on.
But they have a lot of desperate men who will take that abuse.
Yeah, that they thought that I would tolerate that because they hadn't done anything like that to me. That they thought that they could do that to me, and I would tolerate it. Like,
I've seen them set you up with like Gray Baby on purpose. I've seen them set you up with me. Yeah, they do. Like they would just let Gray Baby kind of attack you, and they would read it, and they would laugh, and then you'd fight back. That was on purpose. They were like using you as a prop, right? Remember they'd have you fighting with, and they'd be insulting you. That was on purpose. Like that was a setup.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They had never done anything like that.
You never caught them. They were doing it.
No. What I was saying is this. they didn't they didn't do anything like that. I didn't even see that on their panel with other people.
You didn't notice that they were doing it to you. You were just being stuck in it. Like,
They didn't do anything like that to me. They didn't I didn't go to their panel and they had people from somewhere else. You got to keep in mind.
oh, not like
Those
that.
people
But
were they were from another space. They came from another space, another part of YouTube, to come there and attack me out of the blue. No situation like that had ever occurred there. I've had people try to do that to me on other panels elsewhere on YouTube. So that's why it didn't matter to me. I'm like, oh, really? They're going to come up and they're going to try to do this to me? Nah, I'm not. That's why I wasn't fazed by it. I
you
wasn't
don't
fazed. I'm
notice
like,
the ridiculous demands that they tend to always have. Like, it's always unfair. Like the way they're saying that men should simply attack random men if they're in a disagreement with a woman, but not the other way around. We shouldn't defend ourselves. Just right there, that should make you think. Like just think of the kind of deal that they believe is equal, that they're trying to cut you. Like, they've never been equal. It's always been like this abusive or disproportionate relationship. They believe in that kind of. They have that goddess complex that they're the creator of the world because of women. Trust me.
well, right. It's like I said before. They saw themselves. I think some people did. And they saw themselves as leaders of that space, and I think they acted accordingly. And I didn't really care.
What's the
I don't
word?
care if they're leading or not. It didn't matter to me. I go on panels to talk about whatever the subject is. But
they were tyrants.
Yeah. Well, when they tried that setup on me and it didn't work out for them, that's when the tables got turned on them, because you also had what was going on with Golden Goddess in terms of her going into the space. Like, that was the worst time to do something like that. That was the worst time. See, that's why I warned people in the space against the Umar Johnson sector, because I saw a guy from that sector in one of the spaces, and I know what goes on there. And that's why I warn people. And I also found out that she was going to the lady that came over to attack me, to her channel, and her name is Stargate. Went over to Stargate's channel a couple times. So again, when it happened, I said, yeah, seems like a setup to me. I mean, it was very clear this wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't happenstance. That there was a basic coordination here, just basic. That's it. I mean, and they thought that I wasn't going to know that, or like, see, that's how dumb they are. It's like, I've been on YouTube in terms of panels at least a couple of years. You can't run a snow job on me. You think I haven't had people come on panels to try to attack me? It's happened before. And so when it happened here, I'm like, really, you're going to do that? I mean, again, my response was very simple. My intention was, I won't have anything to do with her ever again. And of course that happened, but that was all that was going to happen. I just thought, oh, you tried your shot at trying to attack me, and I'm moving on, and I won't have anything to do with you, move on. And then all this blew up with her in regards to what she was doing in other spaces. It was bad timing for her, really. It was bad timing. She shouldn't have had that setup happen on her panel, because it made things
I just
worse.
want to say something in case Golden Goddess is listening. Stop lying about lying. I notice her going around. She's lying about. That's it. There's another thing Futures Golden does too. I hate that when you're just telling the truth about something, but then they start saying that you're lying about just. Then you guys. I just want to say that directly because I noticed that to them if they're probably listening. But that's it. Continue.
Oh, they'll probably find out about this. So I figure, yeah, they'll find out. And again, I mean, it's like they're not thinkers. They just really aren't. They're not thinkers. Like, they don't understand. You got to look at YouTube like chess. And, a chess game has 3 phases: opening, middle, and end game. And if your opening is poor, if your opening is strong, but your middle and your end are poor, you're not going to win. And they didn't think this through. They really didn't. I mean, they just did not. And, I mean, at the end of the day, people need to hold. I'm just going to come out and say this. they have to take responsibility for their actions. And I haven't seen that they do that. You shouldn't be going into these other spaces and arguing with people and being
We,
that's
yeah,
not acceptable behavior.
I'm gonna cut in here because yeah, we talked about them a little too much. We're giving them too much attention, man. We're giving them free,
Yeah.
publicity. So I'm gonna cut in. They're irrelevant. They intellectually can't compete with us, and they have a goddess complex, narcissistic. They feel like they can't be checked, but clearly they're, look, their audience is not
It's
majority
in her name,
biracial.
Golden Goddess. I didn't even click in before either. I didn't all click in until now, especially when I remember her saying something in private that it's all clicking in.
The narcissism.
She's a part of
the
that, like we're goddesses. And,
Yeah, we need to switch the topic. Let's just switch the topic because we're giving them.
Well, I'm a good to call it out. It's up to you guys.
Yeah,
They
I'm
live
gonna close
rent free in our heads. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, guys. I think we can end on a more positive note. I'm going to close things out, but if anybody has like any final closing statements, because I got to get ready for work. So, yeah. Sharp, do you have any like closing statements?
Yes, I do. So the video, like I said, it's not really interesting, but it's more factual because you're going to have pro-black mulattoes that are on the extreme left of things, and what we have to do, we have to continue to build our platforms and diversify what we talk about. We can talk about news, do-it-yourself videos, mulatto history. So as long as we bring valuable content, then it'll be harder for those type of people to cancel us because, like I said, they have a smash and grab mentality, and we're playing chess. So that's all I gotta say. But other than that, have a good night, and I have to get back to work.
Appreciate you hopping up here. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.
All right, peace.
Al, do you want to add some closing statements?
Right. What you noted, I think, is important, which is letting the content work, judging the space in regards to the content, letting the content speak for itself. I think that's important in regards to the space. What we're seeing is diversification happen in the space. We see it with some of the content creators here, and we're producing content here. Even though I don't produce biracial content, a number of other content creators do in the space, and it's good. And that's what we need to that's what we're focusing on. And we're what this space has always been about, I think, to a certain extent, is productivity. Positivity, maybe to some extent, but primarily productivity and constructive. That's what it's been about. And I think it just needs to continue to be about that. And the last thing I will say is part of this space remaining what it is we have to make sure it's secure against people who do not have our best interest in mind. And that includes mixed race people, right? If there are mixed race people who come in here, but they have a mentality that doesn't service biracial or mixed race people, then unfortunately they're going to be dealt with at some point, right?
Right.
We know what happened. And so that's what's important is we need not only to have a space like this, the content in the space, but to secure the space. All right. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Yeah. Appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't got much to say. I'm just kind of looking forward to the week, do some great lives, and yeah, just trying to kick ass.
Do you have anything planned out you want to shout out? Any projects? Anything that my audience?
I don't want to say. I don't want to promise this. Well, I mean, there's always Mulatto news Wednesday on the Mulatto's channel, but I got a few little things planned out. Like I'm not going to give a definite, but
yeah, definitely. And then the concept clarification podcast.
Yeah, I'm definitely dropping some of those. Yeah, this week.
Yeah, definitely. Our work will speak for itself, and of course, basically, like with my channel, just have a catalog. I primarily want to focus more on the history. I've been kind of, not as active with that component, the historical component, as of late, but I have things planned. I plan on traveling a historical mulatto site, a couple sites, in the next couple weeks. I'm going to take a trip somewhere, and I'm going to be doing some vlogging, and I'm going to make some videos about that. So I'm going to have some more real life physical evidence, historical mulatto evidence that I'm going to add to this channel, so I can just kind of preview, give you guys let you guys publicly know what I have planned out for the next few weeks, of course, I'm going to shoot the footage, but I'm going to have to do the editing and all that stuff. But
Sounds
yeah,
cool, man.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
That sounds cool. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know I've been kind of I just busy with work. I got a few different jobs and stuff, so I haven't had too much time to because I want to make good quality content as far as the historical component. But I try to upload videos here and there. Of course, this live stream, I like doing these type of kind of on the spot, impromptu type of lives are pretty good. But yeah, it's definitely an honor, a blessing to be able to talk with you guys. Have these kind of conversations, sort out some ideas, and of course, we could publicly strategize where we like to see things, and then of course, the growth of it all, which is inevitable, right? We just need people to know that we're here, basically. That's how I see it. But the thing with Jessica X as well, I liked because you were kind of reaching out, extending an olive branch to her as well, which is a good thing. And there's definitely a lot more people we could be doing that with as well, because I think a lot of people, even major content creators, they don't even know. I feel like personally, a lot of them don't know that there's actually a space for us, mulattoes, specifically mixed race people. So yeah, I just want people
We're
who are
getting
more
up there.
serious.
It's funny that Six the Goddess called us mulattoes, because that's actually promotion, because
Because
even
of
just putting
me.
that name out there,
Because of me.
that name, yeah.
I'm gonna take full
Uh,
credit to that, because I went in at the first video she dropped a couple weeks ago based on Melanie King, because she tried to frame Melanie King as being biracial, and I jumped in her comment section. She responded, and of course my title, Mulatto Vanguard, and I was basically like, no, Melanie King, I don't think she's biracial. I think she has light-skinned parents. And I was like, she's definitely black identified. I was like, I was very blunt in my the way I worded it. So I take full responsibility. I know she checked out my channel. She knows I'm here, we're here. Yeah, my title, Mulatto Vanguard. So that type of promotion, it says something. Yeah, she saw it. And like I'm telling you, yeah, she's going to use the term. And I've seen another Black Manosphere guy use the term mulatto as well. I'm telling you, I'm navigating some of these channels. They see my screen name. They see the comments I put challenging, some of the rhetoric and ideas. And people, we're here. And, there's no going back. So yeah, I take credit for that. For personally, I'm serious. For Six to
I
Goddess.
believe you. I believe you.
I'm telling you, because even here in the mixed race spaces, I've seen people who changed their whole damn screen name to include mulatto in it, and I know it's because of me. I mean, I didn't see it before. My name was similar to yours, hybrid ninja. When I first appeared on the screen, that's because I've heard some of the black guys basically be like, "You can't trust these, hybrid ninjas." They're basically saying a mixed nigga, but they say ninja instead of nigga. So, but they said hybrid instead of mixed. So I was like, hey, I like how that sounds, hybrid ninja, a good ring to it. But then, of course, I kind of ran into your channel, and I definitely like what you were doing as far as examining the black nationalism with Irritated Genie. So definitely things kind of clicked. But yeah, we definitely got a lot of good things planned moving forward. So it's going to be good. Good
Me
things.
too. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Cool, man. All right. And I'll talk to you later.
See you tomorrow. You're gonna be here. Did you have a live tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. Tomorrow
Yeah, so
evening
that's
around the
what-
same time. Yeah.
That's why I was like, we should cut it early, because it's like same thing tomorrow anyways. We'll be here probably talking.
Yeah.
You
I'll
don't
be
want
back
to
tomorrow.
oversaturate, right?
Yeah. Cool, man. All right. Talk to you
Okay.
later.
Talk later.
All right. Peace. All right, guys. Went on quite a bit, about 2.5 hours. I'm going to play a smooth jam, close things out. And of course, like I just said, I'll see you guys back here tomorrow, Mulatto Monday. So what do we got here? We got a track. I think the intro track, I'm going to play it as the outro as well.